Howdy and aloha, everybody, and welcome to Montauk. This is James. You can call me Jim, Jimbo, Jimmy. It doesn't matter as long as you call me. Damn it! Inside joke. Whatever. Okay, so not too many things happened within the past couple of days, but here it is. Montauk. A lot of people come on. Maybe 20 to 30 people will be on. It's Saturday night. Could be less. Could be more. I don't know. A lot of these people, some of them are in chat, and I do appreciate them coming on. I'm not sure what show is on right now, but usually when there's nobody on, there's people that are on some other shows. I know Jamal was on, Jamal Thomas from the Political Soapbox was on earlier. Had a good thing going, his show was good stuff in regards to Tom Hartman, who I believe has done the same thing Bernie has. He's taken the deal, or he's just completely out of touch. He just kind of goes with whatever the narrative is out there that the mainstream media is colluding about or collaborating about. Mainstream media, which is the reason why we're on. We check independent news and mainstream media. We talk about city, state, federal issues, whether it's social, domestic, foreign, infrastructure, judiciary situations, laws, legislators that are out there, and of course our wonderful executives at the city, state, and federal level. Real simple. My goal, as it always is the core of what I do. I would love to see in the future some clean rivers and lakes, clean soil, cleaner oxygen levels rising when CO2 levels are hopefully going down, which right now is a really major problem, and it's getting worse. Sorry, I have an itch in my nose. I know that's not good. But there's a lot of stuff out there that we need to fix and change. And these people that come on here have some great ideas, great perspective. I would definitely say they are, how would you say? They're like very analytical. They do their due diligence, they do the research, they source and check links, they check the references, and they go to the horse's mouth if possible as to what they do. It's somewhat impressive. I don't know if my stuff is working. Let me see if my stuff is working. LLOLL. Let's see if that actually works. I don't know if the chat is working right now. It's doing something strange. It's just saying howdy and aloha, howdy and aloha. What the flip? Oh, it is working. Anyway, so welcome everyone, and I do appreciate everybody coming on or wanting to come on and have some fun. Yeah, I buzzed it, man. Whatever. Yeah. They said just cut it short, man. I'm going freaking full military. Make it high and tight. You know? Anyway, I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. Whew, I ate so bad. Oh my God, I'm just getting fat and pudgy. I worked out a little bit today. Tomorrow, a little bit more. You know, I need to make some changes. You know, I've got to get in shape. I've got things to do, people to hopefully see in the future, hopefully soon. And, see how that goes. But that brings me to my mono word, which I'm now listing in the notes, and that is change. And God, that's a serious one. Where do I start? I'm looking at the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. You know, Michael Jackson. That guy should have changed a little bit, but he didn't. You know, there needs to be a lot of change. For me, internally, definitely, I got to start a serious workout regimen, eat a lot better, do a lot, read more, do the show more, Hello, hello, Snork. How you doing, buddy? And and get a lot of things done. There's people I know that could definitely use some serious change. Um, some things like, taking actions, doing the things that they need to do to better take care of themselves and the ones they love. And then there's another, and then in business, people that I know that need to do some change to better the companies, to be more employee orientated, to not be so damn greedy, which is just so prevalent out there. It's just kind of sad and sickening. I just see it all the time. Um, I mean, the greed that's out there right now in a lot of small businesses and corporations, especially the larger ones like Walmart and Home Depot. Uh, Sickening, sad, bad, terrible. Draft Tulsi. Hey, what's up, Draft Tulsi? It's been a while. Aloha. That means hello and goodbye with love. Anyway, so there's a lot of change that needs to happen, at so many different levels. Let's just say locally here, there could be some serious change in regards to the water quality. Oh my God. And then, the state itself needs to be just the Democrats voted down single payer, this year. Oh, year's going to be over pretty soon. And this dickhead Renton um, just totally. Oh, hello, sexies. Hey, Jenny Lynn. Um, uh, yeah, that was just the biggest indicator of, doesn't matter if it's a federal level or the state level, we have some serious, serious two-party oligarchy-ness going on. I mean, it's all about contracts and money and campaign donations, and it has nothing to do with you. They don't really give a shit about you. I mean, both parties, one's the Dumbocrat leaders and the other ones are the Republican leaders, and they don't care. They don't want to change. Why should they change when they're making five, they're making 6, 7 figures. Some are even close to 8 figures out there in the world, in the United States, why would any Democrat that's making millions of dollars in their Cayman accounts, their Swiss bank accounts, offshore companies? I mean, if you follow their money, I'm sure they've got tons of money everywhere. Like Nancy Pelosi is she's 100 millionaire. You know, there's dozens and dozens of senators, and now and in the past. As soon as they become senators or representatives, and they've spent their time, and if they just don't want to keep, changing laws to benefit, their super PACs, their lobbying company, their lobbying groups, or the 1% donors, and all those that throw money at their doorsteps, um, or at their feet, or just stuff their pockets with money. Why would they change? That's not going to happen. Recently we had we just found we did the math as far as the Clinton campaign during the primaries and the general election, or whatever, both, who cares, that their marketing firms uh, got 10% of all donations, or some number like that, which was Forsaken. Hello, girl, you need to get on here. What's up? Anyway, we miss you. That wonderful voice of yours coming on and you know giving us the who, what, for, which you do, kind of setting us kids straight. Miss you. All right. They made $200 million, $200 million marketing campaign, and that's just nothing compared. I mean, imagine all the money and all the um, previous primaries and general elections that we've had. I mean, if somebody would do the math in the past 20 years, I mean, it's got to be in the trillions. I mean, it just has to be a ginormous amount of money, billions and billions and billions of dollars. And then what happens is you have one campaign that it's almost like a waste. It's almost like you just fully threw that money away. So we definitely need change, especially with our campaign finance reform. and the FEC, the Federal Election Committee, never did anything in regards to the cheating and the colluding and the corruption within the. They didn't even they didn't mention a word in regards to the corruption of the DNC against Bernie Sanders. It was crazy, but we need to keep our eyes on not just the media guys that we're watching. I mean, we're watching H.A. Goodman, great. We're watching the Humanist Report. We're watching Hard Bastard. We're watching Sane Progressive. Of course, we're watching Jamal Thomas. We're watching Zune Politics, Holly Zeiliger, and a few others. Nico House, Stefan, what's his name? Steinhammer 666. He's a repub, but he's got some great stuff on his show. And I hope he's watching tonight. I would like for him to come by. He got burnt by YouTube. I guess he did some kind of syrup ad or something. I'm not sure that they didn't approve of. Maybe it was racist. I don't know. But that happens all the time. That's everywhere. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. You could almost say that our show is a little racist when it comes to Hillbots, or when it comes to neoliberal, corporatist, centrist Democrats that are out there. God, these labels are just crazy. And there's Stevie. Hi, Stevie. Oh, hey, and Jake's here. I didn't see Jake. My Jake. But yeah, we definitely need some change, and we need serious change 10 years ago. We're late on the change race. We are moving at a snail's pace. There are other companies that are doing tons and tons of drastic change to reverse the effects of the human footprint on our Earth in regards to fossil fuels, nuclear, the pollution, coal, oil, nuclear. I mean, just everything. And we're super late on that. We need a Green New Deal. We need it now. Hey, Jenny, how are you? And Dom, hey, Dom. Dom, yeah, I already said hi to Dom. Anyway, so we need some serious change. If you need serious change for yourself, you know, I do know that there are some people that have quoted some amazingly fantastic quotes in regards to change. A couple of them I really thought were great, like Albert Einstein. This is one of Albert Einstein. Hold on, let me get out my Clark Kent glasses. Yeah, yeah. All right. So the world as we have created it is a process of thinking. It cannot be changed without changing our thinking. That was Albert Einstein. Any change, even a change for the better, is sometimes accompanied by drawbacks and discomforts. That's true. You know, it's not easy. Change is not an easy thing. Um, Let me see. Change is inevitable. Change is constant. Uh, Benjamin Disraeli. When you're finished changing, you're finished. I don't think that's correct. I think I cut out some of this and fucked it up. I'm reading that correct. I just took out some quotes and I'm kind of fucking this up. So I'm sorry, everyone. Okay, the world hates change. It is the only thing that has brought progress. Woohoo! If you don't like change, you will like irrelevance even less. Ooh. Uh, that was General Erik Rydberg. If we don't change, we don't grow. If we don't grow, we aren't really living. I like that a lot. Gail Sheehy. Those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. George Bernard Bradshaw. He who rejects change is the architect of decay. The only human institution which rejects progress is the cemetery. So you're dead if you're not doing the right things and changing. Change before you have to. Jack Welch. I like that. People can cry much easier than they can change. Change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past or present are certain to miss the future. John F. Kennedy. That's very good, John. Be the change that you wish to see in the world. I like that. Mahatma Gandhi. Yes, be the change that you wish to see in the world. So be what you is, not what you is not. What was that from a cartoon? A turtle? Mr. Turtle. Change is the law of the life, and those who look only to the. Okay, I already did that one. No doubt that's all. Okay, this is the good one for us. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. Margaret Mead. I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the waters to create many ripples. That's what we do. We're the ripple makers. The first step towards change is awareness. The second step is acceptance. Nathaniel Blandon, change your thoughts and change your world. Norman Vincent Peale. People don't resist change. They resist being changed. Peter Senge. There is nothing wrong with change if it is in the right direction. Winston Churchill. Yeah, I don't know if you guys like that guy. Oh, let me see. Sorry, I'm just typing a guy. I think our guest coming on tonight. He's a spokesperson for the Green Party. He's traveled and toured in a sense with Jill Stein last year, and still does to this day. He has some great stories, great information. He may be on with us later. I don't like to say for sure because things happen, but I'm just typing that. I'll send it a link soon. I'm doing my monologue. I'm monologuing. Okay, so there's lots of people that have always thought of change. It's a tough one, but when it comes to change, for me, it's about telling myself constantly, don't fuck this up. Get shit done. Make it happen. Constantly. My mid self is telling my lower self to tell the high self to fucking let's get it on. All right, that didn't sound right. But what I'm saying is, I'm constantly telling myself to do things. I think everybody is. Some people just do it habitually. Get up in the morning, brush your teeth, take a shower. Hopefully you are showering normally. Some people are actually showering less because they're thinking about the water. Me, I like being clean. Like being clean, but I take quick showers. Quick. Done. But I think change is important. Change for us has always been important. We've been in this show, a lot of us, we've kind of moved with the times, kind of moved to more of a format, brought on some great guests, political guests, and some great people on. I know Tim Black's been on here, Jamal Thomas, somebody that was running for the 32nd District of West Virginia, David Elliott Pritt. I hear he's got a few problems, so, but I still support the guy. I think he's got the right mind. He's doing the right things, somewhat. Dr. Shiva, who came on here, who's running against Elizabeth Warren as a Republican, but he didn't know he might go independent, and he had some good information. We thought at least 68% of it I thought was pretty spot on. And a few other people have been on here, and we enjoy having them on. We treat them very respectfully. We're very courteous. We definitely roll out whatever carpet color they come on. The last person we did have on here was just dynamite. Her name was Darlene Elias, co-chair. She's in Massachusetts. She just ran for Holyoke, Massachusetts position there. I don't know what the position was. I forgot. But anyway, she did a great job. And we were just fortunate to have her on. What a fire plug, right? What a fire plug. Hello, everyone. 1329C. What's up, brother? Or sister? I don't know. And then my Jake. Jake is on. What's up, brother? And a few other people. Okay, so I'll wrap it up. For me, as I was saying, I have to tell myself to do, if I'm going to change, just regular repetitive things that I do normally, which I kind of get into when it comes to work and play, and you got to have structure. I understand that. But sometimes you have to break the structure you're in to either elevate yourself to a new level, hopefully in a better level or a better place, a better direction, or you can make the wrong change. And people have done, I've fucking done that, of course. And right now we have people out there that they don't know where to go. I mean, with over 200 new political parties being created ever since Bernie, uh, you know, threw in the towel or just bowed his head and became a cabin boy to Hillary Clinton in July 2016, and bowed and just handed over. He was going to do it anyway, but he never said anything. He never challenged. He just became instantly their fucking piper, trumpet, decoy piece. Oh, just anyway. Don't even. We'll talk about that probably again. And just all these parties have been created because they don't know what to do. They really don't know where to go, where to be, or who to trust. There's some libertarian parties out there. You know, that guy Johnson, what a freaking weirdo. He could be anybody on the right, anybody in the realm of the Republicans. They can easily be swayed. They're all about money. They're all about Ayn Rand. They're all about themselves. They're all about greed. They're all about take, take, take. Most of them, in my opinion, most of them. But I do believe there are some people out there that aren't really sure where they should be. I think there's a lot of people out there that aren't quite comfortable with the party that they're in. I would say a lot of them are Democrats or Dumbocrats, I call them. Oh no, not the people, they're with their leaders that are Dumbocrats. The corporatist, centrist, blue dog Democrats that are just growing at an exponential rate out there, and they're not comfortable, and they're looking for change, and they're looking for a place to go where they can feel uh, protected, secure, get some structure, have health care, be better taken care of, by a government that actually gives a shit. Because I think there's people on both sides that are very kind of, they're baffled on what they need to do. And I do think there's some on the right that would love to have single payer. I do think there's some on the right would love to see potholes and railroads and roads and their schools being better taken care of, and the arts coming back to their schools, and more money in smaller classrooms for their schools, and health care, excuse me, and daycare, and free college, at least at a community college rate, which I think would be the best option right now. And then, and they do believe in the Second Amendment, and I'm a Second Amendment guy, in a responsible way. Background checks, make sure people are cleared by their doctors or something like that, and just a little more to make sure that the stats go down as far as these mass fucking crazy ass shootings. Anyway, yeah. So and they need training. I think if you can get a license for a car, you should be trained for a gun that you're going to be carrying around or in your house. You should know how to lock it up. You should know how to use it. You should know how to um, know when to use it, when not to use it. You should know the laws of what happens if you do use it. Stand your ground needs to go away. Right to work needs to go away. Citizens United needs to go away. McCutcheon versus the FEC needs to go away. God, the fucking list just goes on and on and on. The military-industrial complex and the influence they have on everybody in the entire hill in Washington, D.C. They need to be exterminated. I mean, they just need to. But that isn't going to happen unless you have the right people in power, or unless the people that you do have in power can feel a little um, threatened, because they're controlling all the cards, no matter what's going on. And I think it's even to the point to where they can rig machines. It's just my spider sense is telling me that they're going to get to the point to where no matter what you think you're voting for, you're not. And that's just me, just a perspective opinion. That's an opinion. So I am very concerned about the process of our voting system. So we do need campaign finance reform, and we do need uh, our voting processes to be up to date and much more transparency. Okay, so I'm going to open the floodgates here. Maybe a few people might stop by. I am going to send uh, an invite to Erik Rydberg. And Erik Rydberg, like I said, is a Green Party spokesperson. He is also running for Secretary of State for California. I know he doesn't have much experience, but the guy has been in the political realm for a little while here, and I think he's learned a few things. And it's not really about the experience nowadays, in my opinion. I think if you have that, like I do, that broad stroke of let's save our Mother Earth, let's take care of the people and all of its inhabitants on the planet, and find the ways to get to that point, so our kids and theirs and so on and so forth can have a place to play, a place to breathe, a place to go. You know, I know you know. Okay, so I'm going to post this in. Where am I posting this? Okay, on the live dashboard. I'll do that right now, and then I'm going to send after I get that on. Okay, that's in there now. I'm going to do it on the Twitter. I do it on the host because the hosts have all their things to come on. And then I also do it with, let me see here. I just did it there. And Garden's got full confirmation that, let me see, Garden's bringing, just to let you guys know, we're going to have Holly Zellweger from Zoom Politics. Can't wait. She's totally cool. And of course, our very favorite and awesome commentator for independent media with the political soapbox, Jamal Thomas. Fantastic guy. Just want to say. And that's Friday, December 1st at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. That's Friday, December 1st, okay, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, 2007. Myself and Garden Gnome, his real name is, we don't know because it's top secret, but he's been with us for 5 or 6 months now, since May, since we've been doing these big forums. But he's getting that together for us, and we appreciate that, Garden. Awesome job, buddy. Awesome job, bro. Okay, hopefully Lucas will be on. But somebody tell Lucas to get on here. It's great to have him on. He's just a brain. Now, just to let you know, I am now going to send a link over to Erik. Just to let you know, Erik, the guy's just got so much energy. He understands, and we've had several conversations, him and I, on what's going on with the Green Party, and the millennials are so important. He's so in line with Darlene, and there's a lot of them out there, that there needs to be, I don't want to say this, but I'm just saying it. He never really said it. I'm just saying there needs to be a changing of the guard. You have two parties that will basically never change, and one that actually has the ability to change. Okay, and there. Okay, here we go. So I just sent him the link to come on. I hope you can figure out. Just download the app. when you come on, you guys, if you don't already have the Zoom app, it's real simple. Download it, and it'll give you instructions how to get on. If you have any questions, you can call too, and then we can get you on. But it's pretty simple, you know. Technology isn't too crazy these days. Yeah, so I mentioned the word now is change. And whether you like it or not, we've got to change. And there are people out there that want dramatic change, not just $12 an hour, not. Oh Jesus, that fucking loud shit. I was listening to some funky music earlier. Okay, sorry. Snork, my brother, always on. Thank you, buddy. How you doing? Good. Okay. You know me. I'm just babbling, brother. Babbling. Anything? Okay. Real quick, I wanted to finish my thought in regards to change, and Snork knows this. Is, for example, he's a high-ranking engineer at a pretty high level. Oh my gosh, is that happening already? Okay, forget what I'm saying. Our special guest is here tonight, and it's Erik. Oh, look at him. You look so nice. Erik Rydberg, what's up, buddy? How are you? Can you hear me? Mic check. 1, 2, 3. Mic check. 1, 2, 3. Check and see if you're muted. You might be. I am going to make sure that everything's... I can't hear you yet. Nothing.
There we go.
There we go. Hello.
How's it going?
Good, man. Welcome.
Hey.
Welcome, Green Party spokesperson / going for the Secretary of State for California. I love your background. That's fucking awesome.
Can you see that?
Yeah, it's pretty. That's fucking bomb, bro.
Yeah, the Green Party of the United States made these really cool banners for us. We just got done with the Green New Deal conference over in Humboldt County.
Excellent.
And it was a big, the cannabis industry over there is like this huge deal. And they basically invited us to come talk. The Green Party's been pushing cannabis legalization for like 20 years. So they invited us to come talk about it, right?
Nice.
Yeah, we're really, that's great. And there's wonderful, some of the medical stuff that can go with it. But one of the big things for us is getting it off that Schedule I federal drug list so we can do hemp, right?
Right.
So many amazing things you can do with hemp: fuel, food, clothes. It's just,
Yeah. Quick story. My mom, about a year ago, and everybody here knows this story already, but she plays World of Warcraft with me sometimes and Overwatch, which is pretty cool. And she's like almost 80 years old, but she's a total gamer, dude. And she goes, I want to show you something. And she was reaching behind her monitor. She's got World of Warcraft on. And I go, oh, she's got like this, maybe she's got the new dragon or some figurine that she's got a bunch of them in her house. She's got an orc and a couple other things. And then she pulls out this bong, dude. My mom pulls out a fucking bong, and I go, what the fuck? And she goes, yeah, doctor said it was good for my eyes and some other stuff, and it really, Jimmy, it really helps me sleep really good. And I go, Mom, remember all those times you used to throw away all my plants? That's what, like a couple kilos of plants and all those, all the pie used to flush down the toilet. She goes, yeah, I kind of feel bad about that now.
Yeah, well, there's a reason why she was so against it. And, if you look back in the history, it was those newspaper companies. And, hemp is just so much easier to mass produce for paper that, it was threatening to put the newspaper companies out of business. So they ran a bunch of articles about how evil it was. And, even in the 40s, they had what was it called? Reefer Madness, right?
Yeah.
So they've been trying to keep, because if hemp gets off the federal Schedule I drug list, I mean, this changes the game entirely for paper, for clothing. It's going to save us so much money. It'll save us quite literally billions of dollars by simply getting off of cotton and getting off of paper made by trees.
Sweet.
So
If
that's one.
so, here's a quick question. So, if
Yeah.
I'm wearing a hemp shirt,
Yes.
will I get stoned?
No, you will not.
Damn it. Well,
It's
then
only the
fuck it.
feet.
I don't want it then.
Well, it's good for the planet, and that's
Yeah,
that's what
that's the
we're
main thing.
looking at for the Green Party, right? Yeah.
So
How you doing?
we're
And
good.
you're over in Orange County, right?
Orange County, Anaheim.
Anaheim.
Snork, where are you at, Snork? He's in Wyoming,
Oline, Iowa.
Iowa.
I was just
Why did I
talking to
say? Go
Green
ahead.
Party member in Iowa today. What's the weather like out in Iowa?
Very cold. I'm interested in the Green Party of Iowa. I do
Yeah.
have one concern. If you'd like, I'd bring it up later, or if you want me to mention it now.
Yeah, go
Oh,
for it.
Yeah, I
We
love
have a 20-year-old running for first district federal, and I believe that having him run, being ineligible to serve, hurts the party.
How
I'm
old?
very-
And what's the age limit there?
25. No, this is federal. Everybody. He wants to run and then argue that they can't have a limit on the age, and I don't think we have that kind of energy to waste.
I hear you. That makes some sense.
I
It is.
currently
Yeah.
don't really feel that I'm electable, because you have to have a bit of a personality and whatever to be gregarious, and I kind of put people off.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so even myself, I feel that I'm not eligible to be a candidate.
Yeah.
However, I think it would be better to support if they don't have a candidate that is eligible to serve. I think it's better that we sit out. And fight the issue separate. Every effort that we make is so important, and I currently I feel like it's Democrat versus Republican here,
Right.
because the first person that speaks out, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll vote for you, and then you're 20.
Yeah. What's the age limit? 25, right?
25 nationally.
Well, I mean that is kind of messed up, right? I mean,
That is. In 5 years, I'd be willing to vote for him, or if it would be litigated between elections and answered between elections.
Right.
So I believe how wonderful that this guy is interested in running.
Right. Well, this is the way I look at situations like that, right? Like we have Elijah Manning. He's a fantastic candidate, very young, right? And he ran for president of the Green Party last year against Jill Stein. Well, not against Jill Stein, but ran for the candidacy. And he's a very young man. But I mean, it raises the point. I mean, if you have to be 18 to vote, right, it seems like you should be able to represent this country, because just as all the decisions that are being made on your behalf by people 25 and older, they're affecting your life. And you should be able to, once you're an adult, and you should be able to have the say in the things that are put into place policy wise that do affect your life. And and this is what I'd say. If he's a well-spoken, if he's a good candidate, with the Green Party, we have a 1/3 ratio. 1 out of every 3 Greens wins that runs, right? We had 44 Greens elected this year, which is fantastic, right? And we have a lot of candidates in 2018. And if he's a well-spoken man, I would suggest that if you can support him, because if he can raise, it's about momentum, right? Like there is no silver bullet, right? There's not gonna be a candidate. I mean, Bernie Sanders is kind of proof of that, right? Like there's never gonna be a candidate or like a singular issue or a silver bullet that's just gonna take down the corporate system immediately. It's about momentum, right?
We do have one candidate here. Actually, we have 2.
Yeah.
That basically, if they didn't have a D behind their name, if you heard them talk, you'd think they were Greens.
Right. Yeah.
And I would rather see one of those get it, or if the Democratic Party has any issues this time, I would like to see the Green Party say, hey, you're a viable candidate. We have a wonderful candidate, but he would be a symbolic entry only.
Right.
We have an absolute genius running from Chicago, from Cedar Rapids.
Yeah.
And we have another one. I don't know where she's from, but I've spoken with both of them.
Yeah.
And like I said, this was even coming from a Democratic Party candidate.
Right.
They espoused all the Green Party values.
Right.
And basically they're D because that's what you need to win up to now in Iowa.
Right.
And that doesn't say it could, but if and there's some party politics going on in Iowa that have devastated the Democratic Party here. 3/4 of the typical volunteers have quit.
Right.
So we are the bellwether for the nation. We mess it up for everybody. If Green Party can make a foot here, it is your best leverage for the rest of the country. We make the first comment on the president. If we have some successful changes, we have Grassley, we have Joni Ernst as our senators. We have Rod Blum. We have Stephen King. We have the top, of the top 10 that need to be taken out.
Right.
We have 7 of them. The Democratic Party uses Stephen King, the Republican, as a fundraiser. But in the last election, the money did not go to the local candidate, who was very upset. So you have issues and opportunities in Iowa to help the rest of the country. If you could swing this guy to say, just what you've done, says you're going to be a fantastic candidate in 5 years.
Right. Don't
burn the bridge now, because Iowans won't forget that he ran like that.
Yeah.
And I think we'll lose a valid candidate. And I don't know if you see that elsewhere. I'm sorry, I won't talk anymore. I'll concentrate on California.
Keep going.
Because I think what happens here, California is 6 months behind us on the politics. So if we can straighten it out here quickly, if you could turn one of the Democratic candidates that isn't getting treated correctly here, that would be as strong a bellwether as winning one of these temporary elections or the fill-in elections as somebody gets hired and an occupancy is made. So like Ossoff was viewed as a terrible punch in the teeth to the Democratic Party.
Yeah. Now, are you going to have to fill me in? Ossoff, was he progressive or was he corporate?
Ossoff ran as a Democrat, but was a neoliberal who had advertisements as though he was trying to sell a new brand of pop or a pinball game.
Right.
Jim, is that an accurate description of Ossoff from Georgia?
Yes.
He didn't understand his market.
Right.
He used the neoliberal marketing people who came in, gave him all the wrong answers, and he was the wrong person with the wrong ideas for the people who are hurting in his state. And that's one of the things that we spoke about last night. If you could actually go back, I don't want to bother everybody rehashing what we talked about last night, but how to win a large number of candidates, just as what happened back in the 30s when Roosevelt got in.
Right.
People were hurting.
Yeah,
Roosevelt understood what to do to get in there. He understood the severity of what was going to happen to wealthy people if he didn't get in.
Right.
So I think the way to the people's stomach is to feed them, to get them jobs. And last night we spoke about how to get some jobs. And
yes, was it Darlene Ellis?
It wasn't last. She wasn't last.
I was just one of our rants. Sometimes we get off on it and get going, but the Mountain Party in West Virginia is the Green Party.
Right. I got you.
You almost need to change your name to the Green and affiliated parties.
That's what they did in Maine, right? The Maine Independent Party, right?
Right.
Maine is doing some amazing stuff, right? They passed ranked choice voting, right?
You see, well, Iowa has ranked choice voting,
Nice.
but we do it in a bad way. we do it as what was called a caucus. This is only for the president.
Okay.
Well, we do have caucuses, but the other caucus is different. But the caucus we have for the president, everybody goes into a room and they say, get into groups. Who's going for Hillary? Who's going for Bernie? Who's going for whatever? and whoever has the smallest number of people gets taken out. It's almost like Survivor. You get off the boat, and the rest of the room gets 15 minutes to talk those people who've just been displaced into coming to their puddle.
Right.
And the puddles keep going that way until they get to somebody has a majority.
Right.
So that, in a way, is ranked choice voting. However, if you're not available at that time, you don't get to vote. If you can't walk, if you can't get into that room, you can't vote. So it is so restricted. And then in the amount of hours they put it in a very bad timing for most people who have a job to get to.
Gotcha.
You almost have to not have a job to vote in the election. So I would like to see it be primary style. We had massive amounts and documented on YouTube where they would show the Hillary people miscounting.
Right.
Yeah. So I believe all elections, and I wish this would be one of your platforms, all elections must be handled by state and federal employees.
Right.
No more these caucuses, because it is the filtering of who gets to be there. If you want to be a party, you still have to use the official election routing. So we no longer have people haphazardly making. Well, I'm sure we will still have, but it can't be like it is, where it's a private club and our vote doesn't have to count 1-to-1.
Yeah, that doesn't make, and in that right, that's nothing like ranked choice voting, because in ranked choice voting, you know what I mean? Everybody gets a ballot. Everybody chooses 3 choices. There's no, if you don't show kind of situation, right? So I see what you're saying. It's similar as far as everybody's got to go from place to place. If your first choice doesn't win, you're migrating around until you come up with the largest winner, right? Or
I would also like to see a no confidence vote on that list, where if the majority of people say they don't want any of these candidates, then starts over. So we're never again in a position where we're choosing from the eviler of 2 lessers.
Well put. Obviously, as a Green Party member, and as I ran for delegate for Bernie Sanders, I was incapable of accepting one of the lesser of 2 evils. That's why I'm at where I'm at today. And I think the answers to getting rid of that, honestly, is ranked choice voting. Or at least it's the first step. Really, honestly, proportional representation, like 80 other countries have, is that's really where we need to go. But you got to understand, there's no silver bullet, so we got to make steps. And I think that first step is the ranked choice voting, like they have in Maine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can see how badly the corporate parties want to just dismantle ranked choice voting, because look what's happening. Lots of Greens and other third parties are winning, because when you take the fear out of the situation, when you don't have a binary choice, which you don't like either one, when you have multiple choices, have the courage to vote for the one that you actually want the most, it completely changes the scenario. And then you actually start seeing like lots of and to speak to what you were saying about getting one of the 2 progressive Dems to go green, that just happened in Maine as well. We've just hit a historical moment where 2 state representatives have actually recently, within the last 6 months or so, actually registered with the Green Party. So they're already elected state reps, and now they're with the Green Party. One of them being, I'm Pomo Indian from here in California, and I was so excited that one of them is actually Henry John Bear. And I'm really, really could not be happier, because not only did he register with the Green Party, but now he's running for Congress in 2018 as a Green Party member. And so I wouldn't be the least bit surprised, having already been elected as a state representative, that his run for Congress is quite likely that he could win, and with the Green Party no less. So it really is, if we were just to get one congressional member in the national government, we would be able to say, bring the Green New Deal Act, right? We would be able to bring in a national ranked choice voting to the table. We'd be able to do a lot of stuff that we've been hoping and dreaming about. And all it takes is to just crack that two-party system enough to let a Green get in there, right? Somebody who's truly anti-corporate, somebody who truly has those left-leaning values to actually look out for the people and take that leap. Now, granted, the rest of this Congress and Senate is majoritarily filled with corporate candidates. So a Green New Deal, or a Green New Deal Act, or however we finally put it together, would probably fail, right? But it would be a good thing, because then it would expose all the corporate candidates who basically shut down, probably like one of the best policy I've ever seen in my life, right? And what I think that would do would actually start a chain of events, just like what you're saying about the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party keeps voting against the people, keeps taking corporate money, and what's happening? People are shedding off of the Democratic Party like mad. They're like at their lowest membership they've been in like 15 years. Their donations are way, way down. And that's why there's all these talks of all these third parties. I feel really honored and lucky. On December 12th, I'm going to get to sit down on a panel with Peace and Freedom Party, with Nick Brana from the Bernie for a People's Party. They've realized that Bernie is, he's not in the coalition business. He's in the Democratic Party business. So they've dropped the draft Bernie, and now it's Movement for a People's Party. And I'm going to get to sit down with these folks from these third parties that our values all align. And, there's been talks with Progressive Independent Party, with Socialist Alternative, with the Justice Party, of saying, hey, look, the two corporate parties, especially the DNC, is a private corporation. Their lawyers said in that lawsuit that happened against Debbie Wasserman Schultz, we're a private corporation. We don't even have a legal obligation to even count primary votes. We can change any rule at any time. We don't have to honor any portion of our structure, because technically we're a private corporation, so we can just change anything at any time. So a lot of Democrats, like these two Democrats, it sounds like it's the same deal going on in Iowa. It's the same, party structure trying to minimize progressives' input. And at some point, the last straw will be put on, and all those progressive Democrats are going to realize that not only is the Democratic Party in no way obligated to actually, consider votes or follow their own rules, but actually they're the minority. The progressive wing is actually the minority of a minority party. There's more independents, is what I'm saying, than there is Democrats, right? And the progressive wing of the Democrats, well, it's like half the party, right? So the truth of the matter is there's more progressives outside. There's that independence. There's all the third parties, right? There's actually a larger force on the outside, but they're not united, right? So if we were to take Progressive Independent Party, Socialist Alternative, Peace and Freedom, Justice Party, the Green Party, if we were to take them, this is the talks that we're having actually at the moment. And we were to say, hey, look, we need to form a real coalition and essentially create like a mass party for the 99%. And we were to do that and be successful, which is looking like there's a possibility of it. That minority of the minority party, the progressive wing of Democrats, would be easily able to just come right into this new structure that we have ready to go and we would easily outnumber both the Republicans and the Democratic Party, right? Now, at the moment, the Green Party is the only one of any of the third parties that actually has ballot access in the majority of states, that has a national committee. You don't really kind of have a party. Uh, so at the moment, the Green Party is poised to be a vehicle for all of the independents, for all of the third parties. And these are the discussions that we're having. And Democratic Party is being extremely hopeful by continuing to lean towards the right and the corporations, and by closing out progressives, and by limiting democracy, and closing their primaries like they just did in Oregon. They're really, really, really making it clear that they get millions of dollars from corporations, right? And they're far more interested in securing that money than they are representing the people. So my prediction, I guess, would be in 2018. I know there's like more Greens running than there has been, and I don't know, maybe ever, right? I don't have the exact count, but there's and we just won 44 elections this year. The similar numbers are true of Socialist Alternative, they candidate, and the Progressive Democrats. So if we as Green Party can open up our doors to these other third parties and independents and say, come in, come in, come in, we would actually be able to begin to build that critical mass that's necessary. And if we were to truly outnumber, we're able to absorb all those people and outnumber uh, the the Democratic Party. I mean, that progressive wing would have every excuse that the Democratic Party has given them to leave and actually join us, right? And what I believe would happen at that point is if we actually hit critical mass, Bernie Sanders himself would have no choice but to actually lead the Democratic Party, because there wouldn't be any point in staying, right? So that's the future that I hope for. That's the future that I'm working for, and it's really exciting, and it's also slightly nerve wracking, because getting all these new third parties that have never worked with each other is actually a bit rocky, right? And getting people to get used to each other, and that fear of the Democratic Party or other parties coming in and co-opting you and things like that. I mean, that's been the Democratic Party's MO for decades. They've destroyed so many social movements. That rocky for all these third parties that are afraid of that, like actually coming together and merging. But those talks are underway, and I'm in a position to where I can say, hey, look, the Green Party's is a vehicle for you guys, right? And because if we were actually to break this duopoly, if we're actually to crack it open, what would the Green Party do? We'd do ranked choice voting, then we'd do proportional representation, and that would actually allow for a multi-party system, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have absolutely no qualms whatsoever with there being proportional representation and there being multiple left-leaning parties that can actually participate in the debates. It's not like it has to be the Green parties can be the only party in existence ever, right? But it's just that the two-party system has to be broken. And in order to do that, we actually have to have a mass movement to break that system, right? So that's what I'm building for. And so far, it's pretty exciting to see all these revolutionary people from all these different movements and different parties sitting at the same table, having the same discussion, agreeing on values, and agreeing on the analysis that, we got to crack the system. We got to crack that corporate system wide open. And so I'm hoping here on December 12th, when I sit down with these folks, that, we take another step in the right direction. The first time we did this was when Trump got inaugurated, and we had the Progressive Summit in Washington, D.C. with Ralph Nader and Shama Sawant from Socialist Alternative, Eric Bloss from Progressive Independent Party, Jill Stein, right? And we just had another one called the People's Convergence in Washington, D.C. again, and it was just like another step in the right direction. Everybody's saying the same thing. We got to have a mass party. And it's just like, we're coming closer and closer to everybody saying, okay, well, let's use the Green Party. If we're socialist alternative, let's run as socialist Greens, right? If we're progressive independent party, let's run as progressive Greens, right? And that way, like, I don't know if you guys know about what happened in Minnesota between Ginger and Samantha Priest Henson, but you had, two socialist candidates that canceled each other out, right? That's what we got to avoid. And it's a perfect example of why we need to unite and like have our own primaries where the socialist alternative candidate, the Green Party candidate, they're running in a primary together. And then that way we can choose, vote, see which one's the strongest candidate, and then put that candidate forward against the duopoly. And that way everybody from socialist alternative and everybody from the Green Party and everybody from peace and freedom, everybody can throw all that mass effort behind the strongest candidate. And, until we finally crack the system, then we can do proportional representation. And I'm more than happy that everybody going back to their perspective. If your identity is with social alternative, that's totally fine by me because your values are like spot on with mine. I'm Green Party. I love the 10 key values. I love the Green New Deal. I'm not going anywhere personally, but I am more than happy to. I've seen that analysis. The Green Party's got the structure. It's there to be the vehicle. Let's get everybody in. Let's drive that thing right up to the White House. Let's crack that thing open. Let's crack open the Senate and the Congress, and let's get the Green New Deal passed. Let's get ranked choice voting. Let's get proportional representation. And then from that point, essentially we've won. And, we could go to a multi-party system, and that wouldn't bother me one bit. Right.
Okay, so I got a quick question.
Yeah.
Are you done? Because I'm sorry, I feel like did I just interrupt you?
Not at all.
Okay. All right. So
this is anyway.
like I said in my monologue. Okay. Yeah. There's over 200 new parties that came: libertarian, more leaning right, lots of progressive, lots of leaning left. Parties that have came up, and you talked about some of We Are the People's Party, all these other parties, blah blah blah, and Nick Brana and all that stuff. But out of all those, which one has the best chance on the Hill to get a representative seat or a Senate seat?
That's the Green Party.
Yeah, So to add to that, because we have, I just think that I love what everybody's doing out there. I want them to all do that, but I think honestly, we are the best vehicle at this time. And then in the future, then we can open the door. See, once we get to the point to where we actually have a couple of seats here or there, and they're beginning to like look at us like, holy shit, there's actually a fucking third party sitting in here. You know what I mean? What the fuck just happened, you idiots? Now we got to fucking do shit for the people, so the voting republic, you boneheads. So that's the goal. And then once you do that, then we can have multiple parties. Then the Green Party will actually be that catalyst to of course bring single payer and all the stuff that's immediately needed, of course, right now. But of course start to really open the door for other parties to come in. So we're not. And I don't know if you heard this fact before, but there's only two countries on the planet that have two major parties that are actually in power. And that's right. And that's us and Malta.
What is it?
Malta.
Yeah.
Malta is about as big as Anaheim, the city of Anaheim, and which is pretty small. And they're in the Mediterranean Sea, away from everybody. So this is how dumb we've become as a nation. I'm just saying. So you agree with me? The best vehicle. So we have to try to say, I understand what you're doing out there. I think it's good, but look, you're aligned with us already. We'll make sure that we'll get us in. Let's make a big ruckus. Let's just blow the fucking lid off of this. Let's lift the roof, get the roof, lift the roof up, and then then other parties can start coming in, and we can actually have a real democracy. Yeah. Lucas is here, by the way. Just wanted to say, hey, Lucas. Lucas is here. Lucas has been with us for months and months and months. He is he's just one of those damn prodigies. He's smart. He knows more about our political system, I think, than most of us. Am I right?
I just seen him
Yeah.
said he thought that it was quite possible we could do that in 2022. I think
yeah.
it just pop up on the screen.
Yeah. Go ahead, Lucas. What's up, man? I got Erik Rydberg here from. You can see on the screen he's a Green Party spokesperson with the Green Party. He's toured a lot with Jill Stein and still is, and they go everywhere. And I've seen him. This guy's got some good shit he says out there when he's behind the podium. It's powerful, man. It's powerful. What's up, Lucas?
Not much. I just got home from work. I was eating some snacks because I got some special snacks from day. So that was what I was doing before I got home from work, and then I got the notification that there's a meeting on, so I came on to see what's up and noticed we have a new guy in here, and then he said his story, and that just got me thinking about the races coming up in 2020 and the races we just had last month with 15 Democratic Socialists winning seats across the country.
Right.
I think that in 2018 we're going to see a large mobilization of people voting against the two-party systems, just because the situation's getting so dire in our country that people are waking up to the fact that they can't afford to keep voting for the two parties. It's just people aren't willing to vote for the lesser two evils anymore, because it's gotten to the point of where even lesser two evils is still so evil that they just can't deal with it. And I read several stories today about basically how fucked up our country is getting in different ways. Like, one was about how the disability people who are trying to get Social Security disability have to wait a minimum of 2 years just for a hearing. And we had 10,000 people die before they could get their hearing just this last fiscal year, 2017. And that's up 2,000 people from fiscal year 2016. And we just had two young adults die from lack of insulin. They had GoFundMe's. Like, someone died in May because they had a GoFundMe set up for that way they could afford insulin, and then someone just died yesterday or today because they had a GoFundMe set up because they couldn't afford insulin. And there's a genocide going on in this country right now against poor people and sick people. And with the GOP working super duper hard to raise the poor people's taxes and to take away their health care, I think that both parties are just dead.
I agree with you 100%, man. It's pretty horrifying what's going on, especially when we're like the only major country in the world that doesn't have single payer or healthcare for everybody. It's just that people are doing GoFundMe's to stay alive. I mean, come on, this is a joke, right? My analysis is about this exactly the same as yours, man. On paper, I see virtually no difference between the two parties, right? When I see them for face value, I see a blatantly racist Republican Party, and then I see a Democratic Party that talks the talk, but when it comes to walking the walk, they're walking that Republican walk, that neoliberal corporate walk. And so, the two-party system is it's just a matter of bad and worse and bad and worse. You get a bad candidate like Clinton, right? And then you get a worse candidate like Bush. And then you get a bad candidate like Obama. And then you get a worse candidate like Donald Trump, right? And neither one of them, there's not enough difference between either one of them to save your life, to save your job. They're both sending they both wanted to do TPP. There's not enough there to get your children educated to be able to get the college degrees, essentially the same thing as a high school degree now. And it's too late. To quote Bernie Sanders from 2016, it's too late for incrementalism, right? We need radical change. We need it right now because we don't have time with the planet in crisis. We don't have time with our family members in the health crisis. And education is just, it's really sad that we're so low on education. as far as all the country. Not like we don't have enough money to educate our children. It's not like we don't have enough money to keep everybody alive. And only in a system of, unrestrained capitalism like we have would people sacrifice the human necessity for profit, And it makes me really sad to hear those statistics that you just said. It's terrifying. It's terrifying to think that that's the road we're going down. And to be honest, we wouldn't be going down that road if the Democratic Party was truly what they claim to be. And that's what people are waking up to, is that truly we need a party that's going to represent us, right? And at the moment, the Green Party is the one that's poised. At least that's what I recognized after I ran for delegate for Bernie. And so I want to do everything I can to make sure that we don't keep going down this road of neoliberalism, unrestrained capitalism, and we got to keep our people alive.
So James, you said I could ask a follow-up?
Yeah, of course. Just say, okay, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
James, you muted.
Okay.
Yes? Okay. So I was just going to ask you, like James said that you're a very good speaker, and I was just wondering, because like in my own experience, trying to convince people in my conservative small town that they should vote for a third party, one of the things that I've had the most success with is making it a part of their personal responsibility to vote third party, and like talking about gerrymandering and cross-check, and how the only reason that all these arguments against third parties work is because people repeat them, and people will say like everyone always says, I'll vote for Jill Stein if she makes it to 15%, or I'll vote for her if she gets into the debates, or blah blah blah. And the thing is that if everyone were to just say who they wanted to vote for from the start, she'd be at 15%, she'd be at 20%, she'd be at 30%, she'd be in the debates, and it wouldn't even be a discussion. It's like, but everyone's been told since they're little, and since they're able to hear the TV in the background, that third parties aren't viable, that you can't vote third party, that's crazy, that's throwing your vote away, that's irresponsible, that's a spoiler vote, and all that, and making the blamer, or putting the blame on the voter instead of the candidate. And I just find that whenever I tell people that you are the one with the power to change this, and if you change your vote, the person next to you will change their vote, and whenever they change their vote, the person next to them will change their vote, and whenever they change their vote, 3 people next to them will change their vote, and then 6 people next to them will change their vote, and that's how you get a new system. And I was just wondering if you have a similar message that works for people, or what you use to try to talk to people.
So, I mean, spot on there, man. I would say, it reminds me of the circular logic argument, right? The whole, third parties can't win because they don't have enough support, but you don't support a third party, right? So it's like you have to support if you would support a third party, third parties would win, right? It takes us making that leap, right? And that's what's so wonderful about ranked choice voting. And we passed ranked choice voting in, I don't know, something like 32 cities or something like that. And in those places, you're really seeing the change. And in Maine, in particularly, you are starting to see the change of what happens when you take away the fear of the two-party system by simply making sure that there isn't the spoiler effect with ranked choice, right? So, but perfect. A lot of times when I'm talking to conservative folks, in particularly, I love to reference Abraham Lincoln, right? So Abraham Lincoln and the Republican Party were only around for 8 years, right, before they won the presidency. And what had happened was multiple parties that had similar values, and in this case, it was the abolishment of slavery. They merged, right, into the Republican Party, and they won. And it took them a very short period of time once they did that. I like to mention because obviously Abraham Lincoln is renowned as one of our best presidents. If you're Native American, you're probably not too stoked on the Thanksgiving thing, and but that's a whole nother story. Relatively, he was one of the best presidents in America, right? And so it's like third parties have been integral in passing a lot of what we hold dear here in America. Women's rights to vote, right? Equal Rights Party. The first woman to run for president was Victoria Woodhull, and her vice president was Frederick Douglass, right? And Frederick Douglass is amazing. But it wasn't long after they ran, it's the first African American to ever run for vice president, first woman president, that women's right to vote actually passed through, right? The labor parties gave us the majority of our labor laws by pressing the issue, right? So it's not that third parties aren't viable. It's that third parties are required to participate, right? You have to really want it, and you have to make it happen. Right? We can't wait for somebody 15%. We have to get somebody 15%. So that circular logic of, I'm not going to vote third parties because third parties never win. But if you just vote third party, the third party would win, right? That circular logic, it's really pushed by the Democratic Party. It has been for 20 years. Ever since Nader, the Democratic Party has been hell bent on making sure that no progressive third party rises. And for that matter, no progressives at all rise, because we could see what they did to Bernie. They did the same thing to Howard Dean. They did the same thing to Dennis Kucinich. They did the same thing to Jesse Jackson. And they always try and corral that progressive motion. Like with Jesse Jackson, they did the Rainbow Push. And Dennis Kucinich was the Progressive Democrats of America. They always try and corral that energy back into the two-party system. When what needs to happen is people need to have the courage to go ahead and break that circular logic and vote for what they really want. I'll tell you, I'd rather vote for what I want and not get it than vote for something that I don't want and get it, right? I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I live in a conservative county too. I'm in California, but you'd be really shocked on how conservative Northern California is, right? So, when I'm, aside from the third party circular logic conversation, a lot of the stuff that I talk about to reach out to conservatives is the Green Party doesn't like these free trade agreements, right? That's jobs. A lot of people argue that one of the biggest reasons Hillary Clinton couldn't hold her own against Trump, aside from all the fraud she committed, was that she wasn't supporting jobs. Right? She was for the TPP. She 45 times she was calling it the gold standard, and right. The middle class is paying attention because the middle class is hurting and they want jobs. And so when I'm talking to conservatives, I talk the Green New Deal. I talk about FDR. I talk about how he, in 6 months, created 20 million new jobs that changed our economy, right? And just like we were coming out of the Depression then, we're coming out of a recession now, and we can do the same thing and create 20 million good-paying jobs through a federal jobs guaranteed program. And we can turn our country around now, rebuilding our roads, schools, bridges. All those jobs can be here, right here in America. And once we're done rebuilding the roads, schools, and bridges, we start putting up our wind farms and our solar panels and our organic farming, and we move away from this fossil fuel dependency. And, when you just that statement alone, the 20 million good paying federal guaranteed jobs program, it rings heavily in rural conservative communities that are hurting so badly for jobs. So that's another thing that I've managed to make fantastic inroads in with conservatives.
Okay, so thank you. You know what we're doing when we get some more people on here, if you don't mind, Eric, we go by turns because I don't want to bombard you. It's just good to do that. People have questions. Again, we truly appreciate you being on here, dude. Thanks for spending the time. Sure. Just to let you guys know, rehash, Eric's hung out with Jill for a long time. She's got questions. I don't know if he's gonna tell you guys her intimate secrets, but there's a few things out there that I'm sure he could answer. But the guys, but anyway, they're a good team. When they're out there, you got to hear them. They're powerful. But I think Chad was next. Chad, you got some?
Yes, sir. How's it going, Eric?
Fantastic.
I'm just listening, trying to hear, hear what you're about. So you obviously acknowledge Obama, Clinton, Bush, all these people are pretty much the same. They're war criminals. Okay. Um, and you spoke about being radical. Hold on. My thing is, sorry, the dog. My thing, I guess, is there's not a lot of focus on calling out the crimes and coming up with a way to hold these people accountable. And I guess it's in a way it's like I mean you said you were Bernie delegate, and Bernie just is on the left. There's it's really hard for a lot of left people to call out their own side and to be able to really challenge them on certain things because they don't, where it's too much fighting on the left side, we got to focus on the other person. I look at it as, you got to clean house if you want to, and build your house if you really want to, fight the other side or fight that. I guess my question is really, how radical are we talking about when it comes to?
I see what you're getting at. So I would say when people refer to the Democratic Party as the left, I find that to be a wildly inaccurate statement, right? There is no such thing as a corporatist on the left, right? You can't have somebody who's pro Wall Street, who signs gigantic deals with Saudi Arabia. You can't have somebody who launders their money through the Panama Free Trade Agreement. You can't have somebody who supports fracking. I mean, that is not the left, right? That's the right. So what I would say is that the Democratic Party has been really pulling the wool over people's eyes about who they truly are. With the Republican Party, what I would say is that the more extreme portion of the Republican Party, on the social issues, you'll see things that maybe come across like blatantly racist and things like that. With the Democratic Party, they like to talk a really sweet talk, but then when it comes to the policy, it's virtually the same thing. There's more wars. I mean, Obama got us in more wars than George Bush did. Obama did a larger bailout than George Bush did. Almost every one of his campaign promises he did not follow through with, except for Obamacare. I mean, he didn't make the government more transparent. We got NSA spying on us. He didn't close Guantanamo Bay. He almost all of the campaign promises he made. He certainly didn't stop any wars. We're in way more wars. And so to that regard, I would say that, especially the Green Party, anybody who's like on the left that is dim exited, like we don't consider the Democratic Party the left whatsoever. And there's nothing more than we would love to see than Hillary Clinton face the music for a lot of the criminal activities, to be honest, that she's participated in. Nothing has been more damaging to the left than the Democratic Party. They are by far, we consider them more dangerous. I mean, at least the Republican Party is honest. Like, I know what they stand for, and I can deal with that. When the Democratic Party says that they're for the people and they parade themselves as the left, but they essentially make the same exact decisions, that is quite a bit more dangerous. And that's why, for me personally, and this whole movement to unite these third parties, our goal is to quite literally destroy the Democratic Party. Because, we can deal with people that are for fossil fuels and for war profiteering. We can deal with that. We can, because it's honest and its face value is true to itself. But what's more dangerous to us is people parading themselves as the left or parading themselves for some of these ideas. I mean, a good example is the single payer healthcare issue, right? We're like the only major country in the world, for example, that doesn't really have single payer healthcare, right? And here in California, we have SB 562, which is single payer healthcare that we've been trying to pass. And what's happening is it's the Democratic Party killing it, right? So they say they're for these things, but when push comes to shove, they throw the people under the bus. They take that corporate money. They go bomb the hell out of the globe for this dying resource of fossil fuel and fracking. And, like I was saying earlier, I'm Pomo Indian. Another example is Standing Rock, right? I was out at Standing Rock, and one of the big things for me is that when I looked at the donors that fund the Democratic Party, it's like 4 out of their top 10 donors were funding the Dakota Access Pipeline, just as Donald Trump for a time had money invested in the Dakota Access Pipeline, right? They're actually working in tandem, just as Hillary Clinton said, you have to have a public position and a private position. Well, that private position is funding fracking, funding pipelines, funding war, funding, taking money from Wall Street, taking money from Big Pharma. And, and what has it gotten us? It's gotten us the EpiPen that's $11 in Canada. Here in America, it's $500, right? So to answer your question about what do I mean by radical, it's really sad to think that somebody who wants the human necessities to be available for all people, that's a radical idea in this country. That's really sad, right? Because it's pretty much a standard for the rest of the globe. But that's considered radical, right? To have a democracy that, where the DNC isn't tilting the scales and purging people from the rolls, just having our vote counted, that's a radical idea in this country right now, So when I say radical, what I mean is a commitment to actually take care of our people. And it's sad that we live in a time where corporations are actually the standard bearer. They are the ones that decide elections with their Citizens United and their millions and millions of dollars that they're able to inject into the system to sway elections and influence them. It's a radical idea to go to hand-counted paper ballots. It's a radical idea to switch to ranked choice voting. It shouldn't be considered radical. It shouldn't be considered revolutionary. But in the current corporate state that we're basically living under, which is held in place by this two-party system, those ideas are considered radical. And also, to answer your question, there's nothing more I would love to see Obama and Hillary Clinton be held accountable for the horrifying atrocities that they've committed on indigenous people, on people overseas, and with the healthcare issues and outsourcing and free trade agreements and there's nothing more in the world than I would be love to see them held accountable, because they are in fact not the left. They are center right, at best. So hope that answers your question.
Kind of. I guess everybody kind of hears is with you on everybody's understands, I guess, all the crimes of everybody. I guess my thing is more is the accountability and how high up on the platform is accountability for these other people, because I feel like that could be one thing that could definitely bring in the right or bring in people. And I always say left or right because it's a two-party language.
Right.
That's part of it. Which goes to say with Bernie. See, Bernie's would be considered the left. Bernie would be considered somewhat, but Bernie himself has pushed the Russian narrative, the Russian propaganda. Bernie himself has been supporting this certain thing. What I want to see and what I want to find out is if Greens are really serious, is if they have no problem calling out and being confrontational, being on the offense when it comes to, you talking about Bernie, talking about even Warren, obviously, all these people, all across the board, whether it be the your TYTs, it's that same type of if I don't know how to explain it, but I'm guessing.
I think I get what you get.
You know what I'm saying? It fires me up. So
extremely refreshing to actually have somebody want me to talk about that, right? Because, you know, the majority of the Bernie Sanders people that are still in the Democratic Party actually want me to shut up because they don't want me to talk about this kind of stuff, right? So the Green Party is not in any way in support of, you know, Bernie's stance on, you know, the way he applauded the Syrian missiles that Trump dropped on Syria, his praise for the white helmets. We're not in support of his stance against, you know, boycott and divestment of Israel. We're certainly not in favor of his stance of supporting Hillary Clinton. You know, for an he's probably like, you know, you're a pretty terrible independent if all you ever do is support Democrats. And you know, Bernie Sanders campaigned for Bill Clinton in '92 against Ralph Nader. You know, him and Ralph Nader haven't talked since. He campaigned again against Ralph Nader in '96. You know, even after NAFTA, you know, and Bernie, you know, can't stop talking about NAFTA, but you campaigned for the guy who passed it, right? You know, there's been a deal. So this bugged me, right? So because I was heavily invested in Bernie, right? And you know, to be honest, I didn't know his full record, right? All I knew is some of the things he was talking about, like, you know, college tuition and healthcare and these things that, you know, so many other countries have and that cost us so much money and so much problems in this country. And so when I did some further investigation, I found out that, you know, a lot of what I thought Bernie wasn't quite what I thought it was, right? Because Bernie Sanders in the 80s could not stop talking about how we need a third party. We desperately, desperately needed a third party. But then in '91, he reached out to Hillary Clinton over the healthcare issue. And then he campaigned for Clinton in '92, campaigned for Clinton in '96. When he ran for Congress, he actually struck a deal with the Democratic Party that they wouldn't run anybody against him as long as he would support only Democratic candidates. Now, Bernie used to be part of the Labor Party in Vermont, and he used to be part of the Socialist Party in Vermont. And then he went independent. And then he struck this deal with the Democratic Party, and the socialists in Vermont were furious, right? And especially when he ran for the Senate in 2006. Not only did he like rekindle that deal with the Democratic Party that he's not going to support any third party candidates whatsoever, he's only going to support Democrats. They won't run anybody against him in trade. But he actually took a large donation from Hillary PAC back in 2006, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't know these things, you know. To be honest, the two-party system had me, much like many Americans, the two-party system had me convinced that it was pointless, right? You know, I was pretty stoked on Obama. And then when he didn't fulfill any of the campaign promises, and then he passed Obamacare, which essentially was like a monopoly for pharmaceutical industries. And that's why the EpiPen's $500 in America versus $11 in Canada. And it really like broke my spirit as far as like, this is pointless. Like, why am I even engaged in this? But Bernie's progressive rhetoric really reeled me in. And not only that, like I was saying, you know, the Apache, the Couchiching, the Navajo Nation all endorsed him. So that was another thing that really brought me in. And his talk of the reinstating Glass-Steagall, right? Because my parents' house got caught up in the recession with the housing vote. Those things brought me back in, but I really didn't know Bernie's record and didn't realize exactly how connected to the Democratic Party he was. And now reviewing it, especially since I'm in the Green Party, and I helped do this 150,000 signature petition to get Bernie to leave the Democratic Party after the convention. And, you know, Shama Sawant and Socialist Alternative were the ones that put that together, and he completely ignored it. And, you know, let's face it, the Democratic Party wouldn't even barely be in existence right now if Bernie had taken that. Because since the convention, the Democratic Party themselves have shut down the pharmaceutical bill Bernie brought. They elected Tom Perez over Keith Ellison, you know, Hillary Clinton supporter and neoliberal corporate money galore. Here in California, they literally did the same thing that they did to Bernie. They did it to Kimberly Ellis, who was running for the DNC chair. They cheated her out of the vote, didn't count all the votes, used superdelegates to elect a pharmaceutical lobbyist to the DNC chair, Eric Bauman, right? And one of the biggest successes here in California, and actually our governor candidate, right now we have this guy, Josh Jones, who's running for governor of California on the Green Party ticket. he was part of this movement to take over the Democratic Party in California, CA-Dem, California Democratic Party. And they won 500 what's called A-Dem delegate seats, right? And, you know, Bernie was raving about it. It was like this big success. And the whole point of the 100 seats was to get this lady, Kimberly Ellis, elected. Well, not only did they cheat Kimberly Ellis just like they did Bernie, but they went in and they changed the rules. So those A-Dem delegates, they don't have any power now. And that's the harsh reality that people are having to face, is that just like the lawyers in the DNC fraud lawsuit that Beck and Lee brought, the lawyers argued that we are a private corporation. We have no legal obligation to even count primary votes. And at any time we can choose to change any rules because there are rules and we're not even obligated to follow them, right? So, you know, this the reality that we're looking at is, you know, if you can't beat Trump, right? It's not the Green Party's fault, right? It's the fact that you commit massive fraud and you lie to the people and nobody can trust you, right? And they just appointed 75 corporate lobbyists as superdelegates. You know, the superdelegates are those wonderful group of people that aren't elected by the people. The party puts them in place to make sure that no matter who we vote for in the primary, that they get their corporate candidate, right? Well, hardly any superdelegates voted for Bernie last year, and now they got rid of all the ones that did vote for Bernie, and they installed these corporate lobbyists, 75 of them, as these new superdelegates. So what that means is essentially the progressive candidate in 2020 is already lost, right? And with the amount of people like me that have dim exited out, you know, whether they went to Socialist Alternative or Peace and Freedom or the Green Party, so many have left that is quite literally impossible. If you couldn't beat Trump in 2016, you certainly aren't going to beat him in 2020, right? So that means we're staring down the barrel. I mean, I hate to admit that this is the reality, but this is the reality that we have to face, is we're staring down the barrel of 2020, and, you know, Trump has already beaten the Democratic Party. So it is up to us as these, you know, there's more people that with progressive values outside of the Democratic Party, because independents are the largest majority, and there's all the third parties as well. There's more of us outside of the Democratic Party than there is inside, right? So literally it's our race to win, but it makes it so we have to come together. We cannot stay divided. We cannot have multiple little parties. Independents aren't capable of actually creating electoral power. You have to have some kind of organization with a national committee and ballot access and that whole deal. So that's why we're it's a rocky process, but we're desperate. We are desperate to pull everybody with those values in mind together, because it's the only chance we have. I mean, the Democratic Party has done everything it possibly can to lose to Trump in 2020 already. So at least, even if we lose in 2020, we'll get a federally funded third party with 5% for 2024. Because if we fail to bring up a third party in 2020, right, like we did in 2016, I was trying to tell everybody in 2016, we got to unite around like the Green Party to get that federal funding. Otherwise, we're going to go into 2020 with the same scenario, right? And here we are. And not only is it the same scenario, but it's actually worse because the Democratic Party has failed monumentally. So if we fail to do it in 2020, if we don't bring up that third party, whether we win or lose, right, we're looking down, repeating the whole thing over again in 2024. And that is absolutely, totally unacceptable, right?
That'd be ludicrous.
Exactly.
That would be totally ludicrous. Sorry, just real quick. Indy's got a quick question, and he works for the mail United States Post Office. He's on his break. He comes all the time. He's got a quick question, then he's going to skedaddle. And then it's you, Dom. Sorry.
Erik, first off, it's awesome. Awesome experience that I got in New York, telling Jill Stein that I was dim exiting in June.
Yes.
Now I get to tell you, sir, that I am going to this week officially go from undeclared to green, because I'm working with Pauline Salati. I'm working with Pauline Salati in Long Island. So I keep on saying our party, our party. If it's my party, I might as well go in. So I'm all in. All right. And Plug me in, sir. My
Yes.
my big question is that I keep on hearing that the Green Party, they're not fighting hard enough and all of that. We don't give enough credit to Sherry Honkala. I mean,
No, we
she's
don't.
amazing.
Yep.
And that Pennsylvania 197th lawsuit. Do you have any update on that?
I do not have any update on it, but I would say this: there's another lawsuit. I'll come back to Sherry's lawsuit. Okay. There's another lawsuit
Okay.
I want to take a look at. We have in the Green Party, we have Gary Frazier. Gary Frazier was part of Black Men for Bernie, right?
Right.
Yane Indigo was part of Black Men for Bernie, and she's also co-founder of the Bernie or Bust movement. So Gary and Yane joined the Green Party after the convention, right? And Gary's been working his butt off for the Green Party in New Jersey ever since. Well, recently, after the Beck and Lee lawsuit got, dissolved,
Right.
Gary actually brought another lawsuit against the DNC for fraud, but this time Hillary Clinton too, because of the Donna Brazil revelations, right?
Right.
Hillary Clinton quite literally bought the DNC for $1,200,000 a month. Right?
Okay.
So that lawsuit's one to keep on your radar, and it's a Green Party member, right? But the 197.
Yeah. Before I really have to go, but I have one thing to say. Ranked choice voting means nothing if there's election and voter fraud, and there's electioneering and all of this. So thank you for commenting on this, and I have to go, but I'm going to listen to your comments after I get off of work. Thanks,
awesome.
And I will be in contact with all of you guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, I mean, I'm running for Secretary of State because I saw what Alex Padilla did here, and I know how important it is to have your chief elections officer actually be impartial and even-handed. So, the Green Party stands for hand-counted paper ballots and mandatory recounts, right? If the Citizens United allows Alex Padilla raised $6 million to win his Secretary of State run, that's how Citizens United is destroying our democracy, right? If $6 million can be thrown into the political system, there is no cost that is too high for a recount to make sure that our votes are actually counted. That's the way I feel about it. And if I actually get elected as Secretary of State, I am going to push for hand-counted ballots. I am going to push for mandatory recounts because our democracy must be protected, right?
Okay, so thank you.
I don't have sound on you.
Okay,
James.
so yeah, sorry. Okay, so so that was bad. Okay, so Dom had a question earlier. He's been very patient, waiting. Thank you, Dom, for being a gentleman and a scholar.
I wanted to go last earlier because I'm not sure how my mic is working. Can you hear me okay?
It's awesome.
I feel like I'm in Woodstock. Echo.
I know.
The other couple of nights you couldn't hear me before, and I had my headset, but my headset went dead. So the thing my biggest thing is to get third-party candidates on the national debate stage. Okay, look at how successful you are when you can communicate with the people. You have 40 some wins now, where in local places where people can hear the message. You were saying how much impact when you talk to people and they understand the issues, they agree with you. Okay, now by keeping us off that national debate stage, they're in a sense delegitimizing the party to a lot of millions of people who were just distracted or unaware that if you're a legitimate party, you would have been debating for president. Okay, but they don't see that the rules for you to get in there are set by the two parties to deliberately keep you out, so that person can't hear what you have to say. Okay, now you get down into the red states. I don't think there's a whole lot of success for the Greens down around Mississippi and down in there. But I'll bet there'd be a whole lot of support for a lot of the green policies if they understood them. Okay, so I think what the Green Party should be doing now is exposing the obstacle to keep the party from getting recognition, and the conscious efforts that are being made by the two-party system to delegitimize a legitimate party, and how deceptive it is to these people, and it's an assault on them to the extent that they're keeping them from information that would change their whole lifestyle. So, you know, I think that's one of the things. Are there any like national campaigns or anything like that to I'm echoing?
Right.
Thank you very much, God,
Well,
for that question.
Yeah, that was fun. Am I echo now?
No, you're
No,
not having it.
I think that was me. Is mine better now?
No, you're way better. There you go. Hey, Dom, welcome.
Yep. But you did hear what I said, right?
Absolutely. I had to listen really closely, but I heard it.
I'm sorry.
So I really, really, really have to give credit to one of my wonderful inspirations, Dr. Jill Stein, right? You want to talk about coalition building. Not only is the Green Party, an international global movement of 91 international Green parties, but we are more than willing to work with the people who are affected by this. It's called the debate. It's actually a corporation that now owns the debates that Democrats and Republicans sit on, and it's called the National Debate Committee, I believe. And what happened is, the League of Women Voters used to oversee the debates, right? And after the Bush-Clinton race and Ross Perot, thank you, the Democrats and Republicans worked in tandem to kick the League of Women Voters out and literally create their own private corporation that both Republicans and Democrats sit on. They decide what the questions are going to be. They make sure there's not going to be any hardball questions, right? And they set that 15% thing, right? So I got to give it up to Jill. One of the things that we have tried was actually reaching out to the Libertarian Party last year. And we did a joint lawsuit against the National Debate Committee, right, to allow third-party voices in, like the League of Women Voters used to do. Unfortunately, the Democrats and the Republicans are two corporate-funded parties, and they got a lot of money, and they were able to shut down the lawsuit, right? So where do we go from here? Well, what I'm currently working on is, taking the model of what the international global Greens have done, where we have these 91 international parties that are actually a coalition, right? I'm trying to apply that to these third parties and independents, right? Because we got 7% in the polls in 2016, right? And it's really, if our recounts would have went through, I am quite skeptical that we probably got a lot more than 1,500,000 votes, right? So, but our recount got shut down. So what I'm trying to do now is work with all the independents and those other third parties to create a mass movement for a third party in 2020, so that not only do we hit 15% in the polls, right, but that we are, we definitely hit 15% in the actual vote. We want to win because we don't want another Trump presidency. But even if we lose, if we get a federally funded party, not only will we be free from the Democratic Party forever, we'll have federal funding and we'll always be guaranteed that a truly progressive candidate will make it to the general election without being cut out at the knees by a Democratic Party primary, right? So right now, the plan, what I'm working on, is to create that mass party for the 99% and use the Green Party as that vehicle, so that if we have socialist alternative voting in those polls, and if we have progressive independent party and draft Bernie and peace and freedom and the Justice Party, there's absolutely no way that we're not going to hit 15% in the polls, and then we'll be able to get in that debate stage, right? And if Henry John Bear runs for Congress next year and gets elected, we're definitely going to be bringing as much legislation as possible to open the debates, to make these open primaries, to bring ranked choice voting, to do hand counted ballots. I mean, our goal is to completely overhaul the entire system and make it so all voices and all choices get heard. You know what I mean? I want to hear from the libertarians. I want to hear what they have to say on the debate stage, right? I want to hear from socialists. I want to hear from everybody. But right now, this two-party system, with their corporate funded money through Citizens United and corporate personhood, has managed to constrict everything down to this fine lens that we're only seeing what the two-party system wants us to see, right? So the answer to your question is mass organizing with everybody, all the 43% of independents, the largest majority in the country. We have to unite. We have to unite because the corporations, even though they're the minority with their two parties, they have money and they have the control at the moment. And the only way to get over it is to mass unite people power over money power, right?
I got an idea. Here's a good way. Dom, did you have a follow-up question?
No, I just would say that to get that attention, you think things like a Twitter storm or some mass communication effort, maybe have people prepare and go to public meetings,
Dom, like what, Dom? Like, what's a good way to do that where people can get together and talk?
Right. No. Yeah. You have these
like on Manitowoc.
Right. But also I'm looking at start getting people to go to public meetings, and I think it'd be easier to get them to go if they were prepared for the issue that they were going to debate, so this is where this forum here and others like it are like a godsend, because you could actually do your debate on a platform like this, prepare yourself to go to that meeting, and you're prepared for what questions you're going to get and what facts you're going to have to present, and you would have all the research done that normally, you got the people who come here every night, like all those people's heads working together to bring out the finer points to make sure you get your best hit when you do say it.
Yeah, so that's good. So Dom's got it. He understands the platform, but you can see how this works. Everything you're discussing right here, and like I said, and we had this conversation before, grassroots meetings, people meeting, but let's look at the reality of the people that we're bringing aboard. A lot of them may not even have cars. Most of them take the bus. Some may not be able to afford the gas to drive 20, 30, 40, 50, 100, 200 miles to get to the meeting, which I've encountered by going to a few meetings. So having this is great. So what's happening here is I'm telling everybody to have a question, talk, have a follow-up. They can have another question, and we can go round robin and stuff like that, not to bombard you, but just so you can get your message out, which is good. Because if we all talk at the same time, it defeats the purpose. But as you can see, it's the way it's uniformed here, there's 5 people talking. If we had 20 people talking, it's still a round table, but just a larger table, and somebody goes, okay, you're next, you're next, you're next, you're next. Go ahead and follow up. But you smell, go take a shower, whatever. So, but the thing is it's a great platform, and I think it could be our secret weapon to really unite people in the direction we all need them to go, paddling in the same direction. Because if everybody's oars aren't in the water at the same time, pulling at the same time, like when I used to paddle those outrigger canoes, to get across the Molokai Channel and out in the middle of the ocean where you look down and it's black, you have to be in synchronization. So, and I think this is a good place for that. There was a question that came up, and I think it was, we need analytical thinkers. And he was on earlier, and it was in the live chat. And I thought it was a silly question, but as I was looking through the site, it was kind of hard for me to find how to donate to particular candidates out there or to find them. I had a hard time navigating.
Right.
Do you know?
For Green Party candidates?
Yeah, just how to donate to somebody. It's like if you pulled up who's running in Iowa, okay, or who's running in Tennessee, or who's running in Dom. Where you at?
Is he muted?
Yeah. Okay, he's somewhere around
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, right? He's in Pennsylvania, so we have a lot of people everywhere. So,
To identify green candidates,
yeah, how to donate to them to get them going.
well, probably the quickest way to identify who they are and actually find the links to their websites and such is actually to go to gp.org, right? The Green Party's website.
Okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that right now because I want to make this so people can do this. Because, and the reason why I'm doing it right now because I'm already there. Oop,
Okay.
No, not there. Not that. There. Hold on. Here's all my emails. Hello.
Right.
Just give me a second. I'm sorry. Let me get to. Sorry. So okay. So I'm just going to go to the gp.org or gpus.org.
gp.org.
Okay. I'm going there. I'm going to go to the front. I want to make sure people know how to do it. So I'm going to switch over to my screen that I can show so I can share what we're talking about and I can point to people where to go. So, okay, where do I go from here?
I can't see it myself.
It's on YouTube, so don't try to go there. But I'll tell you where I went
so
to.
There should be a tab up at the top. There should be one that says elections.
Got it.
Okay. So, all right. And then you're gonna have to tell me what pops up when you pull that down.
Okay, we got election night results 2017 wrap-up statements, 2017 election night parties, 2017 candidates, which is I think the one we can go to.
Yeah, you don't see anything on there for 2018 yet, yes?
No.
Okay. We'll take a look at 2017 candidates and see what we get.
Okay. I'm going there
because a lot of these people are going to be
going to there.
A lot of these people.
All right, I'm here.
Okay, and you see a list of names for each state.
That is correct. That is correct.
California, Colorado.
Oh, check this out! It shows a lot of people that are elected.
That's right. We won
44 trustees elected. Schwartz, a board member, elected. Mm-hmm. These are at smaller levels. City Council, Lafayette, elected. Wow. Okay, This is cool. That's the doorbell. Somebody's coming in. Red's gonna come in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now she's muted. Anyway, Red has a live show too. Red in Economics. Her name is Stevie. Amazing stuff.
I love that name.
Isn't that cool? We actually got a song for it too, don't we, Sir Chad?
I'm rural, I'm from rural Northern California, and
there's a few rednecks out in them parts, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah. So everybody's there, so you can click on to where they're at and who they are and etc. Okay, I get it. Okay.
There should be links to their websites.
Yeah,
and stuff
perfect.
Like
okay, that's good. That's excellent. That'll work.
Since the 2018 one's not up there yet, that kind of makes sense. The filing period is in February, right? So probably after February, they'll have a 2018 candidates coming up, is what I would imagine.
Okay. All right. So real quick, I have to go use the bathroom, and it's good because now and Stevie's here. She was here, but she's going to take the con for a little bit. Stevie, sure. Do you have any questions, comments, anything going on your end? She's in West Virginia.
No, not really. Just kind of listening and taking it all in right now.
Okay, cool. So does anybody else have anything? Sir Chad, Dom, Schnork? Anybody?
Yeah, I got something.
Sir Chad's got a couple things. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'll be right back, guys.
You were talking about.
Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for hanging out, Eric. It's cool, man.
Sure, no problem.
Just talk. Say whatever you want, bro. Just if you want to, do some dancing or something, that's cool too. Do some karaoke. It's up to you. Okay.
we're talking about. Well, we had who was the lady that was on there? Darlene or Doreen?
Yeah, Darlene Elias.
Okay. We were talking to her about the Green Party USA and about the face of the Green Party. There's no, the guy that's in charge of the media and there's nothing out there really. There's no like wave of memes. There's no like real internet presence. There's no real face of the Green Party. People only really know Jill Stein, and then they know Nader from a long time ago.
That's right.
So I'm trying to. I mean, the internet's our vehicle because it's the first time in history that we've ever had the opportunity to connect at a mass level. So I've been looking at a lot of different media they're what are they, internet media type thing and whatnot. I guess, how do you feel like the Green Party itself and the structure of it? Do you feel like that there is a lot of corporate influence in there somewhere in the scenes? Because I almost feel like there's a reason why there's not a really good presence, and there's not a lot of people in these roles, these positions, that it just seems to me like they have no idea when it comes to branding, when it comes to marketing, that there's nothing going on. And James talks about it like it's a word salad. Everything is just it's the colors, the scheme. It's everything's there except like the
continuity.
Right. Well, that real. Yeah. Exactly. Yep. So, I guess how much do you know about really the people at the top holding the purse strings? I mean, I know there's a process, but I mean, I guess I'm worried about there being people that disrupt things along the way. Like they're not allowing certain changes, and that's again why it's the Green Party stagnant.
Gotcha. So this is a I've been here for over a year now, right? And coming from the Bernie Sanders campaign, I saw exactly what a successful campaign looks like, and it wasn't actually really Bernie Sanders or his campaign team that really did it. It was mostly like grassroots people like beaming the hell out of the internet and like doing all kinds of stuff, right? So
I think we lost you.
Eric, you still there? I don't know what to do.
Must have been the wrong question.
Yeah, I'm wondering because he still is showing him still here, but he's
I wonder if muted, so he might be having a buffering issue.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It does that.
It looked like he was on a cell phone, so yeah, that's probably it.
Oh, we lost him.
If that's the case, can we reconnect, or is it automatic?
He should automatically reconnect when it buffers like that. Well, that's damn NSA. Lucas was talking about too. I guess he's going to be something about Jimmy Dore and Graham Elwood next month. So he wanted us to kind of write down the things about what he was saying about Bernie. I think it would be good for Eric to get on Jimmy Dore. Because Jimmy Dore does interview Green Party candidates. It wasn't me either. This is where the music hopefully comes out.
Hi, somebody. I heard the doorbell, but I don't see. Anybody come in?
Is there a where's the holding room? Have you used that yet?
She said, "Oh shit."
You have to let him in to the main room.
Yeah, I forgot how to do that. I don't know.
I don't know where it is.
I found it last night. It took me a minute, but hold on. I don't know. Shit. All right, guys, I'm going to put it to a vote. Should we let Hitler in? Literally, somebody named Hitler was trying to join in.
I guess that's.
I'm going to have to say no on that one. I'm going to have to pass on Hitler.
Has he even said anything on chat?
Davey Redneckonomics.
Oh, Don.
Davey.
There you go. There you go. Perfect. So we got to change your name to God then. We should do that. That would be an awesome little segment to do something like that. We'll put God, and then we'll just have God chime in every once in a while.
Yeah, ask God.
That's awesome. Stu.
Well, that'd be a good time for the Redneckonomics song.
Well, ain't it time we spoke the truth? Turn off that corporate news. There's no need to fight, we're all getting screwed. We're past the point of option. We gotta learn to stop with some redneck economics. We gotta learn to stop with some redneck economics.
I love it.
I irritate my girl with that song all the time. It's so catchy for me. I like to sing it.
Economics.
So I love it, baby.
All right. Okay, cool. He's back. Sorry, I don't know what happened, bro. Thank you for coming back. Is everything okay? Did a meteor hit your house?
I forgot to keep my eye on my cell phone.
Did a meteor hit your house or something? Did the ATF come and NSA's outside? Are the men in black out there?
It was the Russian hacking.
Let's see how I can figure this out. Yeah, I didn't keep a good eye on my cell phone charge there. Sorry about that.
That's all right, bro. Thank you for coming back. We appreciate it. So, where were we at? You were mentioning.
We were talking about why the Green Party isn't kicking ass on.
Just a second. Is it possible to have Erik rotate so the light isn't blooming over him?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, I thought that was a halo. I thought he was an angel.
Was that too dark now?
Oh, it's perfect.
No darker than me.
Yeah.
Little ambiance, gives a little vibe.
All right.
Sorry about that. It's just we've had some people ask in the chat if we could cut down on the glare a little bit.
Sure. Well, that does it. Sorry, that's pretty dark. I guess what I'm saying that matters most. Right?
Fine.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else I can really do about the lighting. I can move to another.
No, you're good. It's
No,
good.
you're good.
No, it looks good
Now
now.
we can kind of see you better because what was happening is you were more like a silhouette.
Gotcha.
Before. Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. See, it kind of looked the way Chad was doing it right there. It was right over your head. It almost looked like you had a halo going on, bro. Oh shit.
Right. There you go. So I have my, it's an iPhone, so the plug's on the bottom, and I got to prop the phone up, and so I got it like pinned between a desk in the wall. So, anyways,
let's work.
This is grassroots. This is grassroots.
This
people.
Is grassroots.
When you don't have corporate money, right?
That's what we call redneck engineering. And it works. So as long as it works, that's what matters.
Yep.
Nice.
So now unfortunately, I'm actually terrible with names, and that's really frustrating when you're an organizer. But the fellow who had asked me the question, what was his name?
Sir Chad.
Sir Chad. Is he still on here?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So, why isn't the Green Party just killing it on social media? And I believe, is there some kind of like corporate influence or sort of like sabotage maneuver going on by people, right? Well, I know for an absolute fact that we have absolutely no corporate money, right? We do not have, it's as grassroots as can be. So as far as, is there people that are here specifically to keep the Green Party from growing? I don't believe that is the case. What I do believe is that the Green Party is comprised of a huge amount of activists, right? And activists are usually from oppressed communities of some sort. A lot of times that they've dealt with the corruption of one of the two corporate parties. And they're used to having to like fight for what their issue, right? And this is basically the same issue that we're having, forming all these third parties and independents, is you have all these people that come from oppressed communities that are, used to having to fight to get anywhere. But now we're actually in a safe zone where everybody's like on the same team, but nobody actually has any experience with team building. They're actually used to protesting, right? And like protesting actually doesn't, help you mass organize for an organization, right? So I think a lot of it has to do with simply people coming from so many, the Green Party is a people's party. So there's people from all over the country, people from all sorts of different communities, different religions, beliefs, different ideologies. And it can be difficult changing people's mindset from having to fight to having to trust each other and organize together. And it's the same issue with the Green Party reaching out to everybody else. And this is why I've spent the last year of my life trying to break down those roadblocks within the Green Party, those people that are seen as gatekeepers, trying to break down that viewpoint, let them understand that Bernie Sanders people aren't here in the Green Party to take your party away from you, right? We want to help you make it better, right? But you got to look at it from just as they need to be able to put themselves in like our lived experience of political trauma, to be honest, put themselves in our shoes of having been cheated out by the Democratic Party. We have to be able to put ourselves in their shoes as well. And the Green Party people that have been around for 20 years doing this, they have political trauma as well, because the two-party system, but in particularly the Democratic Party, has been using their media outlets like MSNBC to silence and to slander the Green Party for 20 years. Like what the Democratic Party did to Bernie, they've been doing that to the Green Party for 20 years. So it's really hard for people to trust new people, right? So that process is taking place, and I've made it like my personal mission to ensure that I do everything I possibly can to make sure that process is not only completed, but it's completed in a manner to where when future people want to, because here's what I witnessed. I witnessed, thousands and thousands of Bernie Sanders people trying to join the Green Party, and the Green Party's frankly not being prepared for it, right? And being resistant to it because it's like, whoa, 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 a bunch of Democrats coming in here, like we're going to co-opt our party and make us corporate money, right? So, and that's the same issue that's happening now with these independent parties. The Green Party is kind of in a protectionist mode. It's like, wait a second, is Socialist Alternative going to come in and just like take it all away from us or something like that, or do something that's against our 10 key values? And what it really is, it's the time has come to put aside those ideas of taking credit for we need to appreciate the people that have been keeping the lights on and keeping the structure together in the Green Party for 20 years, but it's time to move forward, and it's time to be prepared for a mass influx of new people, because if we fail to do so, the two corporate parties are going to crush everyone. They're going to get rid of net neutrality. They are going to, we have to do this. This is a critical moment. And I would actually, the way I think about it is like, if you look through history, like the rise of the Nazis, right? Or the Russian Revolution, right? How these fascist dictators got in control of these countries. There was these moments like in Nazi Germany, there was, frankly, Antifa and like the German Communist Party that the Nazis went after first, they failed to mass organize with all the other people that were against fascism, right? They failed to do it because they were so hard communists that like they couldn't, like they weren't able to mass organize, right? And the same thing in Russia, there was Gramsci, and Gramsci had the idea of the United Front, right? Which would essentially have kept Stalin from taking over, right? But they failed to mass organize because of the small differences that they had, right? And not having that critical analysis of it's either mass organize or be crushed. And we have the luxury of being able to look back through history at those moments and look at that like Gramscian moment when they could have united, and they could have kept dictatorship from destroying everyone and everything, and they failed to do so. We're in a very, very, very similar moment now, and it's very, very important. I don't think that there's saboteurs in the Green Party. What I think is it's a combination people that have been working on the Green Party for so long and never really hit critical mass. And now all these new people are coming in telling that their social media sucks and telling them that they don't know what they're doing. Well, we've been keeping it here the whole time. You guys should be praising them for the fantastic work, and we should be. But it's a new time. It's a new generation that has come to politics, and it's time to go forward. And we got to do that together. So here, the Green Party of California is probably the best example I could give you for that, because when all these Bernie Sanders delegates, right now we have like six Bernie delegates running on the Green Party in 2018 for Congress, our governor candidate. You know what I mean? So like we really, really, really have injected a massive amount of new, young energy into this party. And at first there was resistance, there's people that are proud, like, the Green Party's their baby. They've been holding on to it for 20 years. And it's like watching your kid grow up and go to college and like hang out with a bunch of other people or something. Like you're just like, no, that's kind of the way I see it happening. But, just like I am on the coordinating committee and Sadie Fulton's on the coordinating committee, and we have new people on the media committee for Green Party California that are reworking the website. The website's from like 1990. It's just ancient looking, you know what I mean? cagreens.org. Go check that out.
Is there some guy that you guys were looking to that could possibly help you guys out? Some guy in Anaheim you guys were
Well, yeah, I mean, we have an opening on the media committee, and if I'm correct, you've applied for it, right?
That's correct.
That's right. So we need all the help we can get. We need all hands on deck. We need modern technology. We need people that know how to use it, right? We're lucky because we have all these new Bernie organizers that learned a lot from the Bernie campaign, and they want to bring it to the Green Party. And I've made it my personal mission, as well as all the other Bernie supporters that have joined, to get the Green Party ready to absorb these new talents, these new techniques, this new technology. And, and it's, it hasn't been easy. We've had to change bylaws. We've had to, go through a lot of, kind of outdated processes and change them, right? It may, aside from the ballot access and the national committee, which there's just no easy or fast way to achieve those things. As far as social media wise, it probably would have been easier to just start from scratch, right? But we, since the Green Party is in the position with all that structure to really make such a big difference, I recognize that a lot of people kind of like just went hands off. They're like, man, it's a lot of work. I don't want to do that amount of work. Well, for me, I realize that work has to be done. Somebody has to do it, because what's going to happen, and what has been happening, is there's more dim exits taking place. The convention was the first one. The pharmaceutical bill with Cory Booker that the Democrats killed for Bernie Sanders, that was another dim exit moment. When Keith Ellison lost to Tom Perez, that was a dim exit moment, right? We got more. When Kimberly Ellis here in California, another huge dim exit moment. The changing of the ADEM rules, another dim exit moment, right? The Donna Brazil thing was huge right now. And right now it's like people are just banging on our door like, we can't take it no more. They're corrupt and they don't got any legal obligations to treat us right, So, the best, fastest way to get the Green Party going is to join. Get on those committees, you know what I mean? Like literally get up in the structure. You're not everybody's gonna get along with everybody. Even if you agree on all the values, I mean, it's just chemistry. Some people don't work well with each other, you know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah.
No, I was just gonna respond.
Yeah.
I guess the people you're talking about, it seems like they're a little bit romantic about being in control and having their baby operate the way that they want to operate. In my view, I would see that those people are just as much a problem as anybody else outside the party. Because if people are so romantic where they're not allowing themselves to move forward because they want that control, then you're defeating your purpose. And if they don't understand why these people are demonstrating, why these people are happening, if they're not understanding that thread, that pulse, and they're worried about something, about people coming into the party, it shows to me that they're not really, they don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? It's still at that top political level. They're still trying to operate within that top political world on that political level. So when you say like they don't want somebody to come in, I look at it as we have to take over the Green Party. It's that these people either they're going to be part of it and let the vehicle take off, or nothing's going to happen with the Green Party, and then they're going to stay the way they are. Because Tennessee doesn't have a Green Party. We have to get like 30. We still have like 30 or 40,000 signatures or something like that in order to actually to get ballot access. So now the way Tennessee works, you can get endorsed by the Green Party, but you're not registered Green. So there's no real campaign, and there's nothing. And when I say the social media, when I say the platform, there's nothing for people to get on, because they see that, but when you see old folks, however you want to see it, that they've been holding it up, they've been making their money, they've been doing whatever to keep things going, and I get it, there's no corporate, but that's the problem we're in. It's the same problem with the Democratic Party, but it's just a smaller scale. And I it and it's just like the independent media. You know, they have a problem with doing the hard questions to people on that side because they want them to come back. They want them to, they want them, that kind of thing. So it defeats the purpose. It's like Bernie trying to play the system in order to change the system.
Right.
You have to break the system, and in my view, and I guess I feel like that's kind of the pulse of what people want. And I guess to get down to the brass tacks is if it comes to the point where these people aren't budging, because I mean we're at a point. There's a reason why the Green Party hasn't taken over. There's a reason why Jill Stein's wasn't as powerful as it should have been. It was powerful, but it wasn't at the same level. There's a reason why that. So when it comes down to it, are how do you feel? Are you willing to say it's time for you guys to get out of the way and get out of the system completely? And I'm talking about to whatever these people have been in 20 years. They love it. They love it. Okay, cool. If they love it, they're going to want the Green Party to succeed. Otherwise, the Green Party is going to die, or it's going to stay stagnant how it is. I guess are when it comes down to that, because that's what it's going to come out. Because people they're trying to hold on to the reins, they're trying to hold the power and the prestige of whatever they feel like that prestige is.
Right. It's a big fish in a small pond prestige.
Right. Exactly. So, are you willing?
Am I willing?
Are you willing to say these guys got to go? You guys got to go. Like, are you willing to disrupt the green establishment in order to make the green establishment what it needs to be? Because we can tell people, we need to change this, but we'll wait. It's not about waiting. It's media is everything. You don't have to spend a dime going around if you have the people on the internet spreading the word, right? Because people want that third party option. They want to break that two-party system. They want to know somebody is willing to really stand up for it. Does that make sense?
It makes absolute sense. And tell you how many times I've heard that, like, well, that's not the way we normally do it, or that's the way we've been doing it and stuff like that, And I'm kind of, me and a lot of the Bernie supporters that are here in California are exactly what you just described. We didn't go through all the hell that we went through with the Democratic Party, getting told that we were young, not even inexperienced and sexist, racist, and it's not our time and wait our turn and pay our dues and all that crap. We didn't go all through all that in the Democratic Party just to join the Green Party and hear all that again, right? And we're not gonna wait, because there is no time to wait. And in everything I've been doing is essentially what you just said, right? Like right now, I'm running for Secretary of State. Again, there's another Green that's running for Secretary of State who's been here for 20 years, right? A lot of the things that he stands for are those sort of protectionist. This is the way we've done it. Like, these are our processes. We built this when our party was only tens of thousands of people kind of situation, and like, this is the way we've been doing it. And it's like, you know what? It's great that's the way you've been doing it, but like, just because it's the way it's always been done doesn't mean it's the best, right? Like, humanity learns and progresses. Like, we used to think bloodletting cured people, right? Just because it's the way it's been done doesn't mean it's the best way to do it.
That
right?
doesn't work.
Right, exactly. And I am unapologetically, that kind of person. I like, it has to be functional. If it's not getting shit done, it's not doing us any good, right? So, yeah, I very much am willing to, I've had to tell some people some hard things, and I've had to see a lot of, older people like get really emotional about having to let go of the reins, But at the coordinating committee, I've had to make a lot of votes. There's the coordinating committee is a group of 24 people with the Green Party of California, and there's a lot of new people on there now, And there's a lot of people that want to see change that actually have been in the Green Party for a long time, and they have the analysis that you have. Like, not everybody who's been there for a long time is like holding on to this thing like white knuckle, you know?
Oh, of course.
Right.
And I didn't mean it like that. I meant it as like you say, the Secretary of Treasury. That attitude is the problem that we have, is because
Absolutely.
the
No, you're
custom.
right. You're absolutely right, 100%. And you know, I'm really glad that you said it, because that's the truth. And the truth is that small group of like sectarian people who want it their way and only their way. And you know, like you gotta go back to the Green Party's 10 key values, right? And that number one value is democracy, right? It's not our part. It's not our party. It's not James's party. It's not Eric's party. It's the People's Party, and that means all the people. You can't push anyone out. You can't keep anybody from coming in and organizing. And if you do, you're doing the party a disservice, right? And we're at that critical moment in which, if the Green Party doesn't take advantage of this golden moment, and just let me tell you, the Green Party will take advantage of this golden moment, because I'm going to make damn sure they take advantage of this golden moment, and I'm not going to rest until they do, right? But if those people don't understand that if we don't, right, we're setting back the movement 10 years. Because if another third party has to come up and get this ballot access, it's going to take them 10 years to do it. So we either do the entire movement a favor and get over our pride and get over our sectarianism and get over our attachments, right, and open up the doors, or we're pretty much doing the worst possible thing that you could do to the movement, set back 10 years by not letting them use our party, right? So yeah, is the answer. I am willing to do whatever it takes, and if I have to hurt some people's feelings to make them understand that, hey, it's time to change, that's what I'm gonna. I've already done it a few times.
Awesome. So that's huge, valiant, and heroic. And Sir Chad's not saying, you know, take over the castle, because it's not really a castle. It's more like a little hut full of a bunch of people that have been picking their noses for too long. So you're just going to say, you know, you just can't pick your nose for that long. It's not helping anything, you know. So it's not a hostile takeover. It's just to let them know there are other ways of doing things. Jump on this wonderful wave and get on this outrigger canoe, because we're cruising, man. We're gonna move. Thank you for that, chat. And then Dominic also had a little comment. Are you okay? Everything's good? You're good? Hanging out with us, Eric?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing. I mean, I've had a front row seat to these growing pains of the Green Party type situation.
I bet. Oh my God, yeah.
And it's really nice to have some people that, you know, have the analysis to talk to about it.
Yeah,
it's
we're
nice.
with you. We're totally with you. Go ahead, Dom.
Yeah, the comment I had was actually on the Dem exit, and how the closed primaries, you know, are an obstacle there, which another two-party obstacle that threw in there. But how do we, like I'm in Pennsylvania, so if I would register green, I couldn't vote in the primaries. So is there a workaround to that where
Well, I mean, those systems, the closing of the primaries is, you know, I mean, it's not the two-party system. These two parties, they know exactly what they're doing, right? And they've been in control, right? So they've been using every mechanism of, like, you know, the political system to make it harder and harder and harder to break out of it, right? So yeah, if you register green, then you can't vote for what, like a progressive Dem on some other thing. Can you vote for independence there where you're at if you're registered green?
No, you can't. You have to vote for a green.
Now, is that due to the state party, the Green Party state party bylaws that you can't cross endorse, or is that because
the way it is when you go into the polling booth, there's two lines. You have Democrats and you have the Republicans. There's no booth for an independent. I mean, you could write an independent's name in.
Yeah.
Okay. But if I was registered as a green, I wouldn't be able to get in that booth to write the name in. So I'd have to stay registered as a Democrat to get into the booth. Okay, so it's hard for someone to dem exit when it really like cuts you off from all primary voting.
Gotcha. So,
Like I'm on the school board. I ran on the Democratic ticket. Well, actually, I ran on Democratic and Republican. Which I cross-filed, but there was no way to run like on a Green Party ticket.
gotcha. Well, that's a tricky one. So in California, we semi-open primaries, right? And we, you know, we can cross endorse on the local level. We can vote for, on the local level, I can vote for anybody, right? But when state election, we're when I ballot, I believe that I'm capable of voting for independents, right? So, but if you have an absolute closed primary system there, that's a problem, right? In that scenario, all I can really say is that we need everybody to dim exit out of the Democratic Party, so that way we get to vote for everybody we want on the Green Party ticket. I wish I had an answer that could. The only answer is getting people, in legislative seats that are going to be able to change that for you. What state were you in again? Remind me. What state were you in again? I want to know so I can take a look.
Yeah, I'm in Pennsylvania.
You're in Pennsylvania.
Uh-huh.
Well, yeah. I mean, one way around it is if I'm successful in the work that I'm trying to do, then hopefully a lot of the progressive people that we do want to vote for. I mean, because at this point, like, my argument is this, right? It's the minority of a minority party situation. You got half of the Democratic Party is corporate can be. The other half is, and it's probably actually less than half, way less than half now because of the Dem exit, is this progressive wing, right? So there's more progressive people on the outside than there is on the inside. So if I can get all these parties to, work together and coalition build, what I'm hoping is that those progressive wing of the Democrats will realize that, in fact, they are now becoming the spoiler because they're taking away from the progressive vote, right? And if we can actually build this mass infrastructure on the outside, that's so much bigger than, half or, whatever it is, a third progressive and 2/3 corporate. I would hope that everybody, like, I want to see the Democratic Party completely obliterated. That's what I want to see. You know what I mean? As an indigenous person and knowing the history of the Democratic Party and the Trail of Tears and the gold rush here in California and like all the whole, like, I don't want to be a part of that legacy of anti-women's rights. I mean, the Democratic Party was the worst, man. They were the oldest colonial party in American history, and they actually got more blood on their hands than any other party in existence, right? So, like, I really, truly don't. I want to see that thing just utterly done, And so, I'm not in a position, and the Green Party is not in a position in Pennsylvania to change to open your primaries up for you yet, right? But it's about momentum, right? And so I'm trying to build that momentum to get people to understand that, it's just not possible inside of the Democratic Party. So that way we can make what's on the outside so much bigger, because it is actually bigger. It's just not united. And I want to make that big enough to where the Democratic Party just isn't even an option anymore. It's like, why even bother? You know what I mean? I feel like we're quickly approaching that point. But at the moment, wonderful people like you in the states like Pennsylvania are stuck in that limbo where it's like, do I register green to help the Greens, or do I vote for a progressive inside of a corporate party, right? And so the fact of the matter is, things are going to get worse before they get better, right? In order to take down the Democratic Party, like, we have to launch a full-on assault and run against all their candidates, right? To up our numbers and up our odds of winning. We got a one-third winning ratio, and it's like, we have to relentlessly attack them. And unfortunately, Republicans are going to get into office in that process. You know what I mean? And it's gonna get worse before it gets better, right? And we have to just keep relentlessly applying the pressure until people realize the Democratic Party, in fact, is holding them way back, right? And if we can get to that point, everybody comes to consensus on the fact that it's just not doable in the Democratic Party, then we can have that hard break from the corporations. The progressives in the Democratic Party are saying no corporate money. Us on the outside are saying no corporate parties, right? And once we all come to that same analysis, then we can make that hard break with corporations, make that hard break with the Democratic Party, and just outnumber them, right? That's what we got. It's like that movie. What was that movie? It's Ants, right? It's the movie Ants. There's what was it, like the crickets?
They come together against the grasshoppers.
Yeah.
Ants don't work for grasshoppers. It's grasshoppers that need ants.
That's right. Correct. Thank you, my 3-year-old son, Ethan. Thank you.
I have kids too, so.
Well, hey, you guys. I think I'm coming to the end of my time. I really, really, really appreciate all your questions. I appreciate you all. You're spot on everything, and I'm glad you people are out there all over the country. It really actually gives me a lot of encouragement to keep trying, keep pushing, and work even harder, honestly. So thanks again, everybody.
Man, we really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. So your actual position with the Green Party is spokesperson right now?
There's a male and a female spokesperson for the state party.
Uh-huh.
So I'm the male spokesperson.
Okay.
I'm also sit on the coordinating committee, which is like the main deciding body. And right now, I've just announced that I'm going to be running for Secretary of State in 2018.
Okay, good. I just wanted to hear it. I knew it, but I just wanted to hear it again. It was a freaking pleasure to have you on. Look, we're on 4 or 6 times a week. And if you got anybody else you want to bring on.
Yeah, I'd love for you guys to get to talk with Josh Jones.
Bring him on.
He's running for governor.
Yeah.
I'll send a bunch of people your guys' way. That's what I'll do.
Yeah, so here's what's good about this, because what we have just made is we grilled you, in a sense. You know what I'm saying? We did it very well. We did it professionally and courteously, and we rolled out the green carpet for you and sprinkled some flowers like Coming to America, so you can walk on them softly. But the thing is you've answered probably a lot of the questions that people wanted to know in regards to what the Green Party is doing, who you're about, and what you can do for them. We can also, if you want to do one later in just regards to Secretary of State, we can get people in California that are concerned about, well, who are you and why are you running for Secretary of State and what are you going to bring to the table? Which is some good questions, and have those people field those questions for you. And from several different areas of California. I think that's a good idea. But for generally what you've done today is, I think you should be running the freaking party, dude, in my opinion. Honestly.
It's, you know what I mean? You got to dream big, but it's always one step at a time, Yeah. So you just got to keep building momentum. It's not about a silver bullet, and it's not about getting there all in one shot. It's about building movement with the people around you and growing, So I'm really, really honored to have this time here with you guys, and thank you for Thank you for grilling me. It wasn't painful at all.
Okay, good. Yeah, tell
Actually,
the world. Get Jones on here. It'll be great. Thank you.
I will.
Awesome. Aloha. Aloha. Mahalo nui aloha, brother.
Oh, I'll talk to you soon.
Oh, yeah.
Bye.
Well, that was cool. You guys okay? Yeah, I just wanted to say, Darlene, the difference between, they were almost similar in a lot of their views. But I really do believe he's got a, I mean, she's there, but I mean, she didn't know who Justice Democrats were. Remember?
Right.
Right? That was alarming. This guy's on the other end of the spectrum. He knows everything. Go ahead, Snort.
I think I might be able to help him with a few things. We're kind of leading edge on this.
Way to go, Gordon.
So maybe we could help him with some suggestions.
Oh,
My
that's cool.
first one is that he be ready for a lot of interviews like this, not just from us, but from other people. And that he have a portable, like these black curtains behind me, $20. Put it on a PVC rack that he could fold together.
Oh, that's what you were saying. Yeah.
Put it in tubes, carry it around with him, hardly bigger than a swimming pool noodle. Pull it out, put it together. Yeah, instant backdrop. The lights, whatever behind him, don't matter. Little battery powered. Now, this is 70 lights. I think if he had 6 with him,
okay,
70 LEDs. If he had just 6 of these, it could run off of a very small battery for weeks. You can have that with him. Shoot, roll it out. He's got studio lighting, bang, right in front of him. And presentation means a lot fast.
Yeah, so
Especially
that's
for
good
someone
for future
at his level. Yeah, and I think you should have a name tag that as soon as he starts the interview, right before, plop right on the table. Contact me for donations. Whatever information he needs to get out, and there's always a logo. That visual part that gets there faster than the word. That logo, GP, whatever. Get used to people seeing it. It should always be visible somewhere when he's being interviewed.
I'm going to do that. So from now on, anybody that comes on, make sure, for one, their lighting is good, that it's on them. Camera should, this is important. I know about these things. Camera should actually be not looking down at them, but looking either straight or up towards them. There's a reason for that. Yeah. And then make sure they have a backdrop that there's no distractions. In regards to like an interview or a forum where we have questions or something of that nature. I mean, if he's out on the street doing shit, there's nothing we can do about that. I don't want him to have.
Yeah, you might be able to do a backdrop that's usable on the street. So I mean, if they're close enough, within 8 feet, you should be able.
Well, I'd kind of like.
Sometimes you want to see the backdrop.
Okay. The thing is, I thought you were going to ask him something about the Green New Deal, and that if there's any newer technology within the. Have you even read the Green New Deal in regards?
I have not. I got to go back and look at that.
When you get a chance,
I might have gone over it, but with everything going on in my life.
You know what? When Jones comes on, I know he's committed to bringing people on here. He said this is a great platform. They can get a lot of information out, and what I will be doing is I will be just holding these with everybody here. As many people as possible to have those questions, and I think that's hugely important. But what I am going to do is I'm gonna stop the show, and then I'm gonna come on again, you guys, for about another hour or two, maybe. So the reason why is I just wanted to say aloha and thank you everybody for coming on, and Erik coming on, and if you guys are cool with that, and then I'm gonna start over, just as open forum. Is that cool? You guys okay with that?
I want to say something real.
Okay,
I want to say something real quick.
Go ahead.
I want to say, James, what you're doing is fantastic, and the direction I'm going with the Green Party is I'll probably be part of outreach. So obviously you're going to be a part of that if I'm part of outreach, because I'm all about connecting these people together. I think there is not only a disconnect with the perception of the Greens, but in communication between the different locals and the state and national. So I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
Cool.
I know I'm kind of an independent on this, but
yeah, we got a lot of work. We got a lot of work to do.
Later.
This guy gets it. If you listen to everything he says, he gets it. So anyway, thank you guys. Let me just do this real quick, and I'll be back. Yes. Anything else? Okay. Bye. Okay. Aloha. Thank you for coming on Mana Talk with. We had Erik Rydberg on. That was freaking awesome. I'm just going to go ahead while everybody gets off. I'm going to do a quick monologue.
Do you want me to log off, man?
I don't care. You can hang on. It's all right. But I'm just going to shut it down, so it doesn't matter. And then I'm coming back on real quick. I'll be on for about another hour or two. I'm good with it. I had a nap today. I'm fine. All right. So what I was talking about earlier, what was my mono word? Somebody remind me. It was what was it? Yesterday was God,
change.
It was change, you idiot.
Change.
So this is huge because I can't believe, you know what? I blame it on the late 80s and the early 90s. This is what happens. Okay, so the change that is happening, that's trying to happen with the Democrats, is not going to fucking happen. Erik and I already had that. We had that conversation. These people are making big money. They're not going to fucking steer away from all that fucking dough. Same thing on the right. The only party that can actually do some serious change within themselves to capture and obtain more people is absolutely the Green Party. And they're poised and they can do so much, but they really need to catch up and stay up with the times. And Erik's awesome about that, and so is Darlene, and hopefully some other people that understand the direction of the only party that I believe is poised to at least maybe get a Senate seat or maybe get a representative seat on the Hill. I mean, that would be huge. We're not asking for POTUS. But it's good to go. But go for it. You never know. All right. So anyway, thank you guys for coming on. Gotta make that change. I am such a dork, I swear to God.